Welcome back to another edition of the Rodcast. We like to call this one the Hump Day edition of the Rodcast, and we got plenty planned on the show for you. Lots of NFL news, notes, and nuggets. Actually, there's a story that is a huge story going on that nobody's really paying attention to. It's related to the America's number one television show, America's favorite TV show, which is the NFL, and it hasn't made a lot of headlines, but we'll discuss it here on the show. Also, there's a report that Bronny James he already knows what team he's going to. Maybe we all know what team that Bronny James is going to. Maybe that's the worst kept secret in all of sports. But you got the NBA draft right around the corner. As my man Patrick told us yesterday, we're about a week away from that, and that could be one of the big storylines. So we'll get into that coming up here on the show. Also, man, they say legends and icons and celebrities that you get them passing in threes. And once again, that seems to be the case. Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, passed away yesterday. We'll talk about his legacy and his greatness. We'll get into that too coming up a little bit later on in the show. I think that's worthy of discussion. Also, we'll talk Cowboys and we'll talk Texans, trying to balance it out. We'll talk about who's going to be the top running back for the Cowboys and their new running back by committee. We'll also get into some Texans conversation. How could that offense look different this year with all the new weapons? We'll get into that coming up. Pro Football Focus showing some love to the Texas defensive backs. Are we talking enough about the tight end position on the 40 acres? Those are two things that we'll get into. And do we have a sneak peek at what the breakdown, the distribution and revenue sharing is going to be with the new financial framework of college sports? That's also something that we'll get into. We got a lot that we're going to try to cram into the next few hours on the show. Before we do, let's introduce you to the rest of the crew. He's one of the hardest working members of the ARN family. He's got a hustler spirit, period. We don't know what he's paid, but we're pretty damn sure this man is underpaid. Ain't no 401k for this hustler, and he's a hustle man of many talents. It's our friend, co-host, and neighbor. We call him the Idealionaire, but he's got a lot of names and wears a lot of hats. It's Patrick Davis, y'all. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Ready to kick it off on a Wednesday. I did yesterday see the first time I've seen living in this house, because we live in the same neighborhood, live in the house, seeing a snake in the backyard.
Oh.
I had never seen them before.
What kind of snake?
I believe it was a rat snake, so nothing that you were too worried about. The good kind of snake that you want back there. It's, getting rid of pest, but about like 4 something feet long, and so a big enough snake that was there that I went to go out. I was going to go let the dog out back, and then we go back. My roommate's sitting over there, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, there's like a 4-foot snake right by the door. And I'm like, well, I guess we're not going out right now, are we?
Wow, 4 feet. That's pretty long, man. I'm not gonna lie, that would freak me out. What'd y'all do?
We just stayed, and then it left at some point.
So it's on it lives around there though.
It lives around there. I mean, I've never seen a snake there, and I've lived there for over a year now. So I don't think it's that common, but he just, for whatever reason, came on in.
It's like hot or something. Was I looking for like some shadow? I don't know. That's interesting.
I don't know. But yeah, it was. So there was. It was that fun part of like, you're like, okay, I know enough. Conscious brain, Patrick knows well enough. It's an okay thing. It's a rat snake. Yeah, not a bad thing. They're not coming after me. They're not coming after my dog. They're just gonna be out there, So they're not. It's not the worst thing in the world. And then,
You're right.
Then a logical Patrick is like, well, time to burn down the neighborhood and move. This is.
I'll go out there and try to hunt down and kill it, and it's like, well, actually, it's not really. And that's the thing. So I'm glad you're eco-conscious too. Yeah, some people are like, oh no, I got to go kill it. It's like, no, actually, no. And that's part of the ecosystem. It helps. It's doing its part. And it's not endangering us.
I had a friend that was like, well, just grab it. I'm like, and do what with it? What do you want me to do? What they get it?
Look at it.
But he's gonna throw it in the back, like further in the backyard, so it'll be like, no, just
I've heard. I the other eco-conscious thing you could do would be to, if you do capture it, then you relocate it. Just say, I'm gonna relocate it somewhere else.
Yeah, but that would mean that I would then have to take that snake and put it in my car.
You would have to do some
and
stuff.
I'm not doing that either.
Capture it.
I don't need that, because then I know that I'm going to get to where I load it, open up whatever I had it in, and it won't be in there anymore. And then it's just like, well, now burn the car. So I don't want to do that either.
No, I got you. No, trust me. We've done that. I've done that with like tarantulas, and like we did it with like we had a huge frog like that, which is like living in the backyard hanging out. Like we've relocated some things instead of like just trying to force it out, because I'm with you. I some of that stuff, like a snake that long though, 4 feet, that probably would freak me. I don't know if I'd be trying to relocate it. Hell no.
No, it's like you just go on about your way. You're not normally here. Go about your way. And then it was like then yesterday, because it was 2 days ago. Yesterday was, all right, let's make sure it's not an everyday thing that you've had a new hangout in the afternoon. And it was not that yesterday.
Can't be comfortable.
If it was like that, then it was like, okay, now we have to remove it. But no, he was not there yesterday, so I think we're okay now. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I'm sure you took a picture of the snake.
I do have a picture of the snake.
Okay. Yes. All right. I want to see how big it is one day. All right. There you go. That's a nice little story there. Because now I got to look at. Now you're gonna have me looking around.
I tell you, just letting you know, there is at least one snake in our neighborhood.
Seriously, that is how paranoid we are. There's at least one of them.
There's at least one there. Let me introduce my co-host. He's a proud alumni of DBU. He's got more papers than Dunder Mifflin and watches more film than Siskel and Ebert. He is the new Rod Father of Austin Sports Radio, Mr. Rod Babers.
Appreciate that intro. Yeah, and we'll, of course, have your usual favorites. We'll have the topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day. We'll have the What the Facts, What the Stats segment coming up. We'll also get into who said that. We got off the record. So we have the usual favorites on the show. But yeah, kind of going to jam pack a lot. And this is now you post NBA officially, Patrick. Yes. But you're right. You got the draft right around the corner. So at least the buzz doesn't die. Matter of fact, we'll talk some NBA because the Bronny James story has got now another layer that I want to get your thoughts on in terms of the pre-draft lead up to the NBA draft and Bronny James. And there's a discussion going on about Bronny James right now. So we'll hear that audio coming up here in this first segment. But also we'll talk about what I think is the biggest story involving the NFL and why everybody should be rooting against the NFL. You should be rooting against the NFL in this lawsuit. You should be hoping the NFL loses this lawsuit. It would improve your quality of football viewing tremendously if the NFL loses this class action lawsuit.
Oh, I think I know which lawsuit you're talking about. I think I've seen something about this.
Which lawsuit? Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know which lawsuit. They got. But this one is actually, like I said, usually I'm all about the NFL. It is the number one television show in America. This will help Americans enjoy the NFL more. The NFL won't like it because they won't be able to make as much revenue. They're going to lose a lot of money, especially got to pay a lot of money if they lose this class action lawsuit. But I'll tell you why, it's really good for you, though, if they lose. So be rooting against them. All right, but first, let's hit the horn headlines. We always do that. Let's get educated, updated, and informed on all the top stories of the day with my man Patrick Davis. And then we'll come back and hit some of these other top stories.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Willie Mays, passed away yesterday at the age of 93. In a 20-plus year career, the Say Hey Kid made 24 All-Star teams, won 2 NL MVP awards, won 12 Gold Gloves, ranked 6th in all-time home runs, 7th in runs scored, 12th in RBIs, and 13th in hits. He'll be remembered and honored at a game on Thursday at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, with the Giants facing the Cardinals. In Major League Baseball, the Astros dropped the first game of their series with the White Sox 2-0 yesterday. The Astros were able to get 7 hits in the game, but could not string together hits with runners on board to get some runs in. Framber Valdez got through 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, but 5 walks, allowed 2 runs to come across on ground balls. The Astros will now send Hunter Brown to the mound as they work to figure out the rotation a day after putting Justin Verlander on the 15-day injured list. And the Rangers lost the Mets 7-6 after the bullpen could not maintain the lead, allowing 4 runs in the final 3 innings to fall behind 2-0 in the series. Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford added home runs to their season totals, but the Rangers scoring stopped after getting a 6-2 lead in the 5th. Were not able to hit against the Mets bullpen. Andrew Heaney will get the start as the Rangers try to salvage a win in the series today. And that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn headlines. We'll get to the Willie Mays story here in a second too, because that is, it's talk about his legacy. It really start looking at the things that Willie Mays achieved in baseball. It is crazy. I don't know if we talk enough about it because he's got some of those crazy. We always get into Wilt Chamberlain type stats in basketball and how cartoonish they are. There are some cartoonish numbers out there that. About Willie Mays' achievements and things that he did throughout his baseball career. I mean, talk about a guy who was an all-star in 3 different decades. Like, I don't even know how does that happen? Like we talk about the longevity of like LeBron and how he's aging and how Tom Brady's aging well. How the hell does a guy make that an all-star team in 3 different decades? after serving and serving his country in war time too as well, and still able to be that impactful and have that kind of sustained excellence. And that may be the perfect term to describe Willie Mays' career, just sustained excellence.
Yes.
Like, how the hell do you do that?
No, unbelievable. The stats are insane, and the numbers are just insane.
You just went through a few of them, but like I said, I don't know why. I guess obviously it takes somebody passing to reflect on their legacy, but we should be talking about Willie Mays' numbers a bit more and how crazy they are.
And it's crazy because he was supposed to be honored. He was going to be one of the big honorees at the Negro League games that they're honoring at that game on Thursday. Yeah. So they were having that, and then like Monday it came out that he said, "I'm not going to be able to make it. Love you guys. I'll be watching on TV." And then of course passed away yesterday. So now that game has turned into even more of a tribute to him. But yeah, it's they were going to try and spread some more word about him and honor him a little bit more on Thursday. So it's sad that it's there, but it's actually somewhat nice that there's already a setup way that they'll be honoring him. Right.
That's a good point. Now I'm sure the entire game will be just a spectacle in remembrance of Willie Mays. So we'll talk about that. But let's get into this NFL lawsuit first. So a lot of people haven't been paying attention, but there's basically a lawsuit filed by Sunday Ticket subscribers, and I believe it's entered its third week. And basically, the gist of it is this case was filed like 9 years ago. This thing has been in the system for a long time. So like 9 years ago, originally these subscribers filed this lawsuit against the NFL, and it was thrown out initially. As a matter of fact, the judge that threw it out, I believe, still could throw it out. I believe he's still presiding. The guy threw it out, but it was appealed and now has been reinstated, and of course now it's going to trial. And the gist of it is the NFL is claiming Sunday Ticket is a premium product. So in them claiming it's a premium product, they have to force DirecTV or whoever has it, right? This is about the DirecTV, but whoever has
it's YouTube TV
for
now.
Sunday Ticket, YouTube now, but this is mostly about DirecTV because that was obviously back in the day. That's who had ownership of that contract. That they had to charge people basically a premium price, and the lawsuit is claiming the NFL is basically price fixing, and they're making them charge that premium price, and that is a way of them not only getting money from DirecTV, but they said in a way they're forcing NFL fans to have to watch whatever CBS and whatever Fox have available, or whatever the networks have available. And they said in doing that, they are basically kind of trying to monopolize and it's kind of violating antitrust lawsuits. They're trying to monopolize the market and the different entities, and they're basically trying to force DirecTV to package the games all together, or at least they did. The lawsuit now, at least all the evidence, is claiming that ESPN at one point wanted to charge just $70, and a team by team option for the NFL package, for the out of market package. But the NFL declined it. And they're saying, well, the NFL declined it because they're thinking, hey man, it's got to be premium pricing. That's not a premium price for our product. And they're saying the reason the NFL keeps preaching premium price for their product is because they know everybody won't pay that. And the people that won't pay, they just going to watch it on, they're going to watch whatever CBS, whatever Fox, whatever network game is on, instead of being able to go, pick out and being able to kind of specify whatever package you want and whatever team you want. So ESPN wanted to offer that. NFL said, nope, can't do it. I don't like your price on it. Apple TV, this is all coming out in the lawsuit. Apple TV, they wanted to include it in their Apple TV package. See, if you got Apple TV right now, so you got Apple Plus, whatever, Apple Plus, they wanted to include it in their Apple Plus package. Like, now, if you got it, we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
We'll pay for it, but we're going to give it to our subscribers.
Yeah.
And NFL was like, nope, that's not premium. Got to be premium. And so the NFL is rejecting these different options, which would essentially give fans cheaper and better selections of out-of-market games.
Yes.
But you're going to be forced to watch whatever the hell they give you. And there are other entities like ESPN, Apple, obviously Apple TV, saying, "Hey man, we offered the NFL another way to give fans a more personalized package. You can get your team, whatever team you want to buy. You get your team. You ain't got to have everything. You can get your team. You can even." You should be able to purchase week by week. Some people say, what if I just want to get, a 4-week package? What if I just want to buy 4 weeks of the out of market games?
Yes.
What if I don't want to buy the 17-week package? What if I ain't got time for that? But if I just want to buy, so they're saying the NFL has been essentially deciding, I don't know if you want to call it kind of price fixing, but they have been rejecting these proposals for more options, for more personalized options, for cheaper options. Because not only do they want to make more money on DirecTV, but they want to force the NFL fans, which hell, most of America's NFL fans, the number one TV show in America, force them to watch whatever Fox and whatever CBS or whatever NBC is going to have available on the networks. And they also will have to pay premium price for that product, right? CBS and Fox and NBC, they're going to pay top dollar because they're getting they're getting monster ratings, and they're saying one of the reasons they're getting these monster ratings is because the NFL is forcing everybody to watch those games instead of being able to pick out what games we want in a new entertainment ecosystem where you can stream anything you want.
Yeah.
You can go buy whatever you want anytime you want it, right? It's made to order now. Entertainment made to order. It's saying the NFL is essentially monopolizing your entertainment options and forcing you to watch whatever game they put on instead of you now in this new entertainment ecosystem being able to specialize and personalize your own packages. So that's kind of the gist of it. The gist of it, I should say. And the NFL could lose this case. If they lose this case, then they're gonna have to pay triple the damages because a class action lawsuit, and especially one like this antitrust. If it's a $7 billion, I guess the damages could be upwards of $7 billion, and then they would triple because it's a class action lawsuit, and then you're talking about $21 billion the NFL would have to pay. So like that's what's going on because now these networks, or at least these entertainment companies, streaming companies too, they're going on the record in this trial and saying, well, we offered them a cheaper option and we offered them a more specialized option. ESPN, like I said, proposed lowering Sunday's ticket price to just $70. I don't even know what it is right now because I think it's too expensive. So I stopped looking at Sunday ticket stuff years ago.
Yeah.
And I got friends that I want to watch out of market, like personal friends. I'm like, hell no, I ain't doing that. I'll just see you when you come on TV. So it's even affecting me, and I'm an NFL junkie. But the NFL, they shut that down. ESPN, like I said, offered single-term deals, and they offered team-by-team options. NFL still rejected it. And Apple TV reportedly also offered, I think Pro Football Talk said they offered something similar in terms of basically a cheaper option. And then if you just get Apple TV and get Apple Plus, whatever, you have the base package, you'll get the NFL ticket with it. And the NFL was like, hell no. Nope, not a premium price. So it comes down to whether the NFL is right about their premium price or whether they've been trying to, price fix here a little bit and monopolize and kind of, balls hog your entertainment options. Are they just trying to force you to watch whatever they put on these broadcast networks and also have their cake and eat it too and get the most money they can from DirecTV, premium pricing? Or is, basically, we're talking about and them violating antitrust laws is kind of what what these cases all about.
Yeah. So, I do not know enough in antitrust lawyering to know what that. It doesn't seem like there's much of a case there, but
it was thrown out initially. But
yeah, it doesn't seem like there is. But I don't know. I clearly not a lawyer. But no, I mean, like, I know that there was a problem I always had with it on DirecTV. Well, there was a couple problems. One is you had to get DirecTV and you had to get a satellite on your roof and you had to do all of that and sign like a 2-year deal to be able to get it. So there was a lot of reasons why on DirecTV is just completely impossible to get if you were just wanting to get that. And that was it. If you just wanted Sunday ticket, you're like, I don't want to sign a contract for 2 years where you're going to raise my rates to $300 a month for TV once so that was That was one of the reasons. Another reason I always hated it, though, was you could only have it on like 2 TVs at once. And if I was going to have Sunday Ticket, then you're like, well, no, I want to have it for like parties and have it to put on multiple TVs. And I want to put on multiple games at once. And I want to be able to have all this stuff. Because I'm paying a lot of money for this. So I'd like to be able to have it. And in today's world where now TVs are not that expensive, TVs are cheaper than Sunday Ticket is. You can go out and be like, I have multiple. I have a TV that I can move around. I have a TV. So that was always an issue that I don't know if they've with YouTube TV if fixed it now. It was always a problem with DirecTV was trying to do all those things, but I don't know if there's really. I mean, I get it would be nice if they would offer you a out of market team rate that was different than I don't really care to watch all of the games. I just want to watch my team. Can I pay a rate to do that? Yeah, and exactly. It'd be nice. I get that the NFL. I think there's a lot of things the NFL does because they have a monopoly in the football or enough of a monopoly that they can kind of get away with it. And so I don't know if there's much leg to stand on that, but I would prefer if they would make it cheaper and easier to use Sunday Ticket. I haven't really looked into. I saw it with YouTube TV, but it was not something that I had the money to buy it up front. And if you don't pay for it up front and get the deal on it, then it's not really worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've heard that YouTube TV though is good. I've heard good things about them. I don't know about the Sunday Ticket, but I've heard good things about YouTube TV overall. And especially for sports fans, I've heard like it's the way to go if you're a sports fan.
No, I use YouTube TV for my own stuff. I just don't have DirecTV. Yeah. I just don't have the Sunday Ticket.
Yeah, package. I don't know about the Sunday Ticket because it just started. It began last year. Was the first year it was on YouTube TV, so I haven't heard a lot about it. But this is, like I said, this is more about the DirecTV. And this case was, like I said, it was introduced 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess it'll affect, if they lose, it's definitely going to affect the way YouTube TV broadcasts a Sunday Ticket.
Yes.
And I assume at one point, the NFL would just, like you said, just offer the team-by-team option. I mean, they have to have the tech. Now, I understand they might not have had the technology to do it a decade ago. I mean, that's true. They just might not have had that technology. Now there is enough technology in the new entertainment ecosystem we have to offer people team by team options. I understand why you won't do the week by week thing. I get that can be tough. But the team by team option should definitely be available. Like, hey man, I just want to be able to watch the Niners games. Or I want to be able to watch the Cowboys. Or I want to be able to watch whoever. So that they need to do. And I think that will, I don't know if that will be a part of the settlement. And I don't even know if the NFL will lose. Like I say, initially this case was thrown out. And the same judge, by the way, who threw out the initial case, there are some hints, at least Pro Football Talk is saying that they're going to throw this one out too. He says the Sunday Ticket class action suit was dismissed after it was filed initially. It might be dismissed again, as explained by Joe Reedy of the Associated Press. Tuesday's proceedings included an open court exchange without the jury present between the judge and the lawyers regarding the manner in which the case has been tried. And Judge Philip Gutierrez isn't a fan of the way plaintiffs' lawyers are going about their business. And some people are saying that this guy, Gutierrez, the judge, he said, I'm struggling with the plaintiff's case. And he said he wasn't struggling early this year because he's the one that denied the NFL's motion for summary judgment, but he's now threatening to grant judgment as a matter of law for the NFL. What that would mean is that the plaintiffs failed to introduce enough evidence to support a jury verdict in their favor. And he said that even if the jury finds in favor of the NFL, the judge won't need to intercede. But if the plaintiffs win, he said the judge could still grant judgment as a matter of law in favor of the NFL. So the jury finds that the NFL obviously is in the right here, then the judge will just let it go. But apparently, if the plaintiffs win, the judge could still grant matter of law in favor of the NFL after the trial concludes. So the fix could be in anyway.
The fix could be in.
The fix could be in. It was like, doesn't even matter. So,
no, it's. I know that they've offered other things now, and if someone on text, I brought up Red Zone. Red Zone's a thing. Red Zone's different for if you want to watch a game, and I know I have a lot of friends who love Red Zone more. I like Red Zone at certain points, and I really love watching games at a point because I like watching the nuance of a game.
My teams, I want to watch the whole game.
Yes, I agree. Yes. And so if I'm watching a game to watch the game or watch a player or watch coach or whatever it is, then I want to watch the game. And then they offered, I think it was NFL Plus, which I had for a season. I just didn't use it enough.
What was that?
But that was, you could go back the day after and it had every game on available the day after. But it was like $10-15 a month. So it was not bad at all. But that was one where if you wanted to go back the next day and watch anything, it had every game the day after it happened. So you couldn't watch it live, but then you go back and you get the summary without commercials where you could just watch it straight through. And it had different camera angles you could choose a lot of times and stuff. So that was
that's not bad.
Yeah, that was one for when I think this was probably when we were doing Ball Don't Lie, but I had it, and so there's been times where that is a easier solution of if you really want to watch the whole game and you can't get it, then you can watch it the next day. I get it's not the perfect solution, but there are more solutions now that the NFL has to watch games. If you want to watch it, the red zone, and then you can watch the entire game the next day, or you can, and if you're really trying to watch a game, then you really can't have the 3 TVs going back and forth. So I don't know how much of a case there is. I'd like it if it was cheaper, but I think that's also just most things in life I would like if they were cheaper.
That is true too. Amen to that, brother. But yeah, I would, like I said, I would like cheaper options and better options. The NFL might have to pay though. If they lose the case, you're talking about $20-something billion potentially in damages. That's a huge number for the NFL. So, all right, I wanted to get to some Willie Mays talk, which we will. I promise you that. We'll also get to this Bronny James story because I think it's pretty interesting. Right, a week before the NBA draft, this is the first time I've heard this type of story relating to Bronny James. So we'll get into that too coming up because there's they were talking about a mock draft and then dropped a little nugget about Bronny. So we'll get to that later on the show. I promise you. Coming up next, though, we'll go behind the burnt orange curtain. We got to talk some Texas football. Pro Football Focus showing some love to the Texas cornerbacks. They ranked the top returning cornerbacks in the SEC for 2024. 3 Longhorn cornerbacks ranked on that listing. We'll get into that. Also, we'll talk about the tight end position. Are we not discussing it enough? We'll discuss that right on the other side, right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into some Texas football conversation. I want to talk about a couple of topics. If we have time, we'll get to the tight end position a little bit here and discuss that. But I want to start off talking about the DBs. We were talking about DBs a little bit yesterday, and then maybe Pro Football Focus is reading my mind. They throw out their list ranking of highest graded returning cornerbacks in the SEC, and because Javion Cole is now a member of the Texas team, he is the highest graded cornerback on this listing. Now, let me explain something about the Pro Football Focus grades. Just because he is the highest graded player by their formula, algorithm, whatever it is, doesn't necessarily mean he's the best corner in the returning in the SEC. That's not what it means. Relative to the competition that he was playing and their play-by-play grading system, just means that he was the most consistent based on their grading system against the competition he played. Remember, he was at San Jose State last year, and now he's going to obviously be playing at the highest levels of competition in the SEC. So the hope is that it translates in every level that he has advanced into and advanced up to, I should say. He has risen to the occasion, right? He has also developed and grown and progressed as a player. And the hope is that here at Texas, he'll do that too. I will say this, and I've been on the record, you guys have heard me say this. I do think even right now, he's probably your best off coverage or one of your best off coverage corners, just playing off coverage. It's great in terms of he's patient in his off coverage, does a great job of reading his keys. Whether that be the quarterback to the number 2, back to number 1. A lot of the DBs aren't disciplined in going through their progressions. We talk about quarterbacks progressions all the time, and quarterbacks, of course, yeah, they go through progressions, but so do every other defensive player. Every player goes through progressions. Those are just your keys. What are your keys once the ball is snapped? What are your keys during the pre-snap? And for him, he does a great job of being able to be disciplined, reading his keys and going through his progressions. That's why he's always in the right spot. He's been a ball hawk. That's one thing also you appreciate about him. He's got a ball hawk in his skill set, makes a lot of plays on the football. And I think that's because he's in the right place. He's in the right place because his eyes are so disciplined. Coach Akeem would always say, hey, man, your feet go, your eyes go. Your eyes are in the right place, and your feet will be in the right place. And he's one of those guys, his feet are in the right place because his eyes are always in the right place. So that's why he's really good in off coverage, patience in his eyes. And my question is, going back to something we talked about yesterday, how is he in press coverage? I know they want to play more press. They're going to play match quarters. It's kind of a cover 4. There's a man zone concept in cover 4. That is their bread and butter. They major in that. I think they're going to play a little bit more cover 3 because Johnny Nansen comes from Arizona and they majored in cover 3. They played more cover 3 than almost any team in the Power 5. So I think that's the Johnny Nansen influence. Going to have a little bit more cover 3. And I think you're going to have some more bump and run. I think they want to play more press man. They played more press man than they did the entire season in the last 3 games of the season versus Texas Tech, versus Washington, versus Oklahoma State. And it helped actually because in those games, they really were able to shut down some of those underneath inside breaking routes. They were able to shut down some of the things that were giving them trouble all season long, like the quick game and the targets to bunch formation. They really did cut out a lot of the troublesome concepts just by being more aggressive. And I think it was partly because they believe the guys were more fundamentally sound after having a lot of reps throughout the season in bump and run. And now they were kind of ready to advance to that level. And some would maybe it's matchup based. Maybe they just didn't fear Oklahoma State receivers or fear Tech receivers. They also play a lot of bump against Washington, and everybody should have been scared of them receivers. The one thing that they didn't do well in those games, I said, took away some of the easy completions, underneath stuff, the inside breaking routes, the deep ball. And they actually became more susceptible to the deep ball as they came up and played press coverage. So that would be, I think, the concern. They're going to play press, can't get beat over the top like that. Saw it in the spring game too. Guys playing press, getting beat over the top. That's the natural adaptation if you're on offense. Hey, they're going to play press. All right, let's see if they can play in phase and they can cover the deep ball. And Texas struggled with that sometimes last year. So I think they want to play a little bit more press. So Javion Cole, I'm not sure how well he is adapted at playing press coverage. Maybe he is. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't know. I do know what Gavin Holmes brings to the table, and Gavin Holmes is solid. Hell, on this list, they got Gavin Holmes as the 5th highest graded cornerback. Behind Javion Cole is at the top. They got Mark Davis Jr. Vanderbilt, number 2. Maxwell Hairston of Kentucky, 81.8 at 30. Marlon Jones Jr., 79.4 of Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt's got 2 in the top 4. That's probably more surprising than Texas having 3 in the top 7. And then you have Gavin Holmes. Like I said, he is, based on this listing, the 5th highest ranked cornerback in their grade, 5th highest graded cornerback, I should say, returning in the SEC. And then that's Malik Muhammad. Malik Muhammad is Texas' best cornerback. But I will say, I mean, Texas returns a lot of experience back there. I mean, Malik Muhammad had at least 300 snaps. So did Derek Williams Jr., so did Gavin Holmes, Janae Barron. I mean, he's a veteran back there. Guys are starting to have some experience. And Malik Muhammad, his coverage grade, now this is overall grade, but they also have coverage grades. They have run defense grades. So they grade you in a lot of different areas. But Malik Muhammad is your best coverage defender back there. His 79.9 coverage grade was ranked 2nd among all Big 12 cornerbacks, and a 20% forced incompletion rate was ranked 5th among those Big 12 cornerbacks. I mean, he was good. He only allowed 1 touchdown last year, and I think he's going to ascend this year to another level. So the question will be, who's going to take that other cornerback spot? But based on these Pro Football Focus cornerback rankings, it looks like, Longhorn fans should be optimistic. And maybe this is why Sark hasn't really been concerned about. Remember, the Sark is not concerned about the pass defense. I have been a little bit concerned about it. It wasn't great last year, and it wasn't great in the spring game. My theory is that he likes what Johnny Nanson's going to bring to the table in terms of exotic looks and contributions to help the pass defense. And I think he believes that his DBs now this year will take a leap. All of them. Derek Williams, Jade gets even better. Malik Muhammad gets better. You bring in Makuba. I think he believes that they're all going to take a leap in the right direction. Now, maybe that's faith and hope is not a strategy. But like I said, that's the only position group, the only unit that hasn't really improved since Sark has been here. And I believe that's been a focus for them this offseason. So I'm expecting big things from the secondary. Could just be me being a member of DBU, but I expect them to improve a lot. If they don't, by the way, there'll be changes.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we've seen them build in a way where they have been going, position to position and fixing the problems year to year. And this year is one of the big issues is the secondary. They've tried to bring in, I'm sure they would have liked to bring in another guy or two to make it even a more grandiose transition, but I still think they're going to make a step forward this season.
Yeah. No, yeah, it has been, I think, like Makuba, obviously, but look at the DB class. They brought in 5 DBs in that DB class. That's a lot of DBs to bring in one group. So I think they understand, all right, we got to fix. This is definitely a part of this team that we have to fix, and we have to emphasize it. And I think that's what you're getting. So we'll see. I actually am expecting big things. And Pro Football Focus had him as a top 10 secondary, which we all thought maybe that's a little inflated. But if everybody improves, I think that's their ceiling. Do I think they'll get there? I'm not sure there, but I think they can easily be a top 20, top 25 secondary. I think they got that kind of talent, no doubt. All right, Amari Niblack. Let's talk about the tight end position just really quickly. Amari Niblack, 6'4", 233. And he is a ridiculous athlete. There's a thing called the GAS stat, and it's game athletic score. Basically, they use GPS tracking, and they track your every movement in games. And they give you an athletic score based on that GPS tracking data. And they have him in the 99.9th percentile of athleticism for tight ends. Their game athletic score, their GAS stat. He reached over 20 miles per hour in top speed last year at one point. Hey, might have did it against Texas. Maybe he had a long run against Texas, that touchdown. He's actually now, he's 11 of his 20. He had 20 of his 20 receptions in 2023 went for 15 plus yards. So he's a down the field threat. And there's no doubt. I think that's what he's going to bring to the table for Texas. He's not a great blocker. He's probably 20 lowest graded run blockers for a tight end. I think that comes from that was a stat from Pro Football Focus in terms of their grades. And he's not JT Sanders, so he's not well rounded. He's not a 5-tool tight end, but he does have one elite trait for a tight end, and that's his speed, and his ability to to take the top, to really hit the seam and take the top off a defense from the tight end position. So I think that's how he's going to be used. I think, but between him and Gunnar Helm, I believe they're going to try to money ball a 5-tool tight end. I think Amari Niblack's going to have like 2 of those tools, and Gunnar Helm will have 3 of those tools, and together they'll be a 5-tool tight end. But my guess would be this season you'll see a little less 12 personnel, which is traditional 1-back 2 tight ends, just a little bit less of the 12 personnel. And I think he'll supplement with some other packages like the pony package, which I've talked about, your two tailback sets, and the Big 11, Big 12 package, which is your 6 O-line package. And I think you'll see, like Sark does every year when he tries to weaponize a position of strength on his team, right? You had the best running back room in the country, so he decided, let's play more 2 tailback sets. I want Rojo and Bijan on the field at the same time. Genius, right? Even if somebody had been calling for that even when Tom Herman was here. But I won't pat myself on the back too much. But Sark saw it, so good for him. He had one of the deepest offensive lines in college football because you had very little attrition there, and you've been stockpiling these guys. You've brought back at least four starters the last 2 years. So you've had veterans starting O-line and stockpiling with some of the best O-line classes in recruiting in the country with the Pancake Factory. Shout out to the BMDs, big money boosters and donors. But you were able to stockpile that talent, and he decided, you know what, let's bring in Big 11, Big 12 packages where we have 6 O-linemen on the field to use more of those guys. At first it was Andre Carrick, and now it's Malik Agbo. And I think now with the luxury you have at wide receiver, with the embarrassment of riches you have there, with potentially going 6 deep at wide receiver at Alabama when he had a really deep and talented wide receiving core, 4 first-round wide receivers on one team, he used that 10 personnel package, the red package, he called it, 1-back 0 tight ends with all 4 of those wide receivers on the field. And here at Texas, I think you can do something very similar with now you don't have 4 first-round wide receivers. I'm not saying that. I do think you have a lot of I think that's one of your positions of strength. And Sark has shown the tendency to weaponize a position of strength, talented depth. And I just gave you a few examples. I think he'll do it again, but some personnel grouping has to be sacrificed, or at least some of the usage of those personnel groupings has to be sacrificed so you can bring in a new one. And if you're going to bring in some 10 personnel, which I think has been about 1% or less than 1% of your personnel groupings last year, because you just don't use it at all. I think, just taking that 5% from your 12 personnel usage and adding that to a new one could really help you tremendously. Could add a lot of more variety to the offense. So tight end, even though this year I think, you're going to see Amari Niblack, you're going to see Gunnar. I'm not saying that their roles are going to be reduced to that significantly, but I do think, even though Sark loves tight end, says the second most important position in his offense behind quarterback, it's not necessarily a matchup nightmare that it was when you had JT Sanders there, your tight end position. Amari Niblack presents some challenges, but it makes your offense predictable because I know he's going to be a pass receiver 80% of the time. You don't want him in there as a run blocker because he's not great at it. You don't want him there as a pass blocker because he's not great at it. Same thing with Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm's much better and much capable and more competent as a blocker, but he doesn't necessarily present a threat downfield that can be great at contested catches and beating man-to-man like JT Sanders could or like an Amari Niblack can. So you know what I mean? The tools are they have elite traits, but they're isolated, and you don't have them together in a combination like you did with JT Sanders. So I think ultimately less 12 personnel, even though you're between 25 and 40% since Sark has been there. Depending on what year you're talking about. Last year, you saw less of it. I think you were close to 30% because you're seeing more of the Big 12, Big 11 packages. So Sark is playing less of the traditional 12. He loves 11. 11 is his baby. There'll always be 50% 11 personnel. But this year, I think you add 10 personnel. That's my guess. That you see a little bit, a slight increase. Maybe nothing crazy. I'm talking about 5% of your usage. That's nothing. But when you're, allocating that, the personnel pie of personnel groupings, 50% is already taken to 11 personnel. It always will be. And then you start from there, dividing it up after 12 personnel, which is your second most popular personnel grouping, and then into the exotic looks, Big 11, Big 12, your pony package, that kind of stuff. All right, that's some Texas football conversation. We come back, we'll get into the big fat poll of the day. The topic for the big fat poll of the day. We'll also know what the musically themed day of the week is. All that and more right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn.
Hey, I want to tell you about our friends at Texan Windows. They are your new and replacement window experts in Central Texas. You can discover affordable windows and sliding glass doors. If you're looking to enhance your curb appeal, maybe get a new color of your windows, maybe those windows are getting a little foggy, maybe not what you want to look through all summer long, you can change the operation of your window. You can add a big picture window, or maybe just add some obscure glass for privacy. Any of that can be done with our friends at Texan Windows, but it's not just about the looks.
Oh, not just about the looks. That's one of the great reasons you should get new windows from Texas Windows. But I'm a ball on the budget, so I'm always trying to save as much money as I can. And what you may not know is that new windows from Texan Windows can actually save you money on your annual energy bills. All their windows come with argon-filled double pane low E glass. Yeah, I know that's a fancy way of saying it'll keep your house really cool during those hot Texas summer days. We know those triple-digit days are fast approaching. It'll also keep your house warm during those winter months as well. These great replacement windows from Texan Windows can help with energy efficiency, and that will save you money. Think about what you can do with all that extra money. I got an 8-month-old house, so I'm thinking about saving as much money as I can. I'm also thinking about childproofing the house, making sure that all the windows are childproof. And what you may not know is there's those old windows in those old homes. They can be really tough to childproof. They're not up on all the latest safety protocols, and they don't have the latest safety technology. My friends at Texan Windows can help you with that as well, so that you can safeguard not only your loved ones, but also your top investment, which is your home. So there's so many great reasons to reach out to Texan Windows for new windows, and my man Patrick will let you know exactly how you can do it.
You can reach out to Texan Windows at TexanWindows.com or you call 855-55-TEXAN to get a hassle-free estimate by email or over the phone. Or you can stop by their showroom in Buda or Fort Worth, get that new one in Buda, and check out their in-stock windows. And there has never been a better time to check out Texan Windows, because for the month of June through July 4th, when you make the purchase of 10 replacement windows, you'll be eligible to receive a free Blackstone grill. So don't delay. Get started. Head to TexanWindows.com. Texan Windows, your Central Texas window experts. Back on the Rodcast on a Wednesday morning, and that means it's a one artist Wednesday where I'll play you music from one artist all day long, celebrating their career. And today it is going to be the Commodores. It is Lionel Richie's birthday tomorrow, and
Nice.
most Lionel Richie songs are too slow to play as bumper music, so we are playing the Commodores, but just the Lionel Richie years. Just the Lionel Richie years of the Commodores. So basically, it's like 75 to 82, I think. Of the Commodores.
Did they make any real good music without Lionel Richie?
Night Shift was probably their biggest hit after him.
Okay.
Night Shift is a cool song, but that is post Lionel Richie Commodores. But yes, that most of their hits were with Lionel Richie in that period of time. But it'll be the Commodores all day today. Let's get to the big fat poll of the day. Text line's open 512-447-3776.
Patrick's big fat poll of the day on the Horn.
Big fat poll of the day today. We talked about a little bit yesterday about Brandon Ayuk and him wanting a new contract. So I was looking into who is the free agency class of 2025. And there is a lot of free agents in the class of 2025 right now. People who might be available might be coming up. Some are more veterans. Some are a little bit younger. A lot of people are going to be looking for contracts here, either before training camp, during training camps, maybe during the season. And some of these guys are just going to become free agents because they're not going to be re-signed. They'll be heading out. So the question of the day, the poll of the day, excluding CeeDee Lamb, so I'm going to either assume he's going to be signed or he is the clear number one favorite right now. There is not really a competition between him being number one. Who is the best wide receiver in the 2025 free agency class? So let me give you some of these names, Rod. Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Jones.
Ooh.
That's the main.
I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to make it though.
I don't think he is either. I'm saying as of right now,
yeah,
I think he's going to be extended. I think it wouldn't surprise me if Ayuk gets traded and then re-signed. It would be more surprising if he actually made it to free agency, but he may. But that's the thing. So as of right now, and I'm taking CeeDee Lamb out because there's no question if you put CeeDee Lamb in that, right?
It's too easy.
It's too easy. So we're asking out of all the remaining 2025 free agents that are still available, I don't think Amari Cooper is going to make it to the free agency. I think probably 3 or 4 of these guys won't make it to free agency, and they'll either be re-signed or traded and re-signed just because the value of wide receivers right now. But that is a lot of wide receivers that are pretty good wide receivers that are still in that draft or still in that free agency class. So who, excluding CeeDee Lamb, who is the best wide receiver in the 2025 free agency class? Is it Brandon Ayuk? Is he the best? Or is it T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper? Is probably in that conversation is better than Brandon Ayuk. Keenan Allen was at one point.
If you're considering age, that's also something that would weigh obviously your decision one way or the other. If age is a consideration,
because Stephon Diggs falls in there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yes, you're right about that. I forget because they changed his deal to a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Which you know what? Y'all know how I feel about that already. But I forgot about that too. Yeah. That's a really good question, man. Everybody, that's why I do not understand what the hell's happening at wide receiver. I don't get it because now you're about to see more wide receivers available on the back end too, like this, because teams are drafting so many wide receivers high in the draft. And they're in the middle, they're paying them more than ever before. They're drafting them higher than ever before, drafting more of them than ever before. They're paying them more than they've ever paid them before. And now on the back end of that, you're going to have more veteran wide receivers available for mercenary deals on the back end. Wide receiver position is wild right now.
Like
it is wild.
Brandon Cooks, we know he's not a number one anymore, but to have Brandon Cooks just be like, oh, he's probably like the 6th or 7th best wide receiver available on a free agency class.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly. That is wild. You're right. That class you just named, like those guys are going to be available. I mean, that's you talk about Pro Bowlers, all pros. I mean, those guys are at least half those guys have been wide receiver ones at one point in their life. That's crazy. The wide receiver market, it doesn't reflect what we know about kind of the normal player market and the commodities market. It's just defying a lot of the kind of basic laws.
Yeah.
Of supply and demand.
And I see Philip Monster. This is the 2025 free agency class. So the Texans do have some more money to sign. None of these guys are free agents currently. They'll all be free agents next season. But this is because of Brandon Ayuk asking for a contract extension. Number of these guys are going to be asking for extensions because they don't necessarily want to go to free agency. They'd like to stay where they're at, not move their family. If they have a good situation going, they'd like to stay and get paid ahead of time, know what they got going into it.
I would say right now it's got to be between Amari Cooper, Diggs, and Ayuk. If I'm taking CeeDee Lamb out of it, so I got to decide between those three. In my opinion,
I agree. I wanted to list.
If you went through the list again, I could probably change my mind. You listed like 6 or 7.
I'll go through it again for everybody before we go to the break. Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Zay Jones. Those are the top ones that I had seen. If I'm missing one too, tell me in the text line. If I'm missing somebody that's a big name in there, that's the ones I saw that were available, that were the top names that would be available in 2025. And of course, we're excluding CeeDee Lamb because he is we know he's the best receiver in that class right now.
Yeah, and that's the wide receiver position right now, man. It's just loaded and valued at an all-time high, and it's just wild how it's working out. I don't see it the bubble bursting anytime soon.
No.
I think it's going to continue. Just what we're saying. All right. I did not know that wide receiver class, the free agency class of wide receivers in 2025 was that loaded, but it is. So we'll see if that affects anything. But yeah, who's the best of that group right now? I'm deciding between Ayuk, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs. I'll do some research on that and figure out which one. All right, we'll talk about that. Thanks, Patrick, for the topic for the Big Fat Poll today. We come back. We'll get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. We'll talk Cowboys and Texans. We'll dive into that. And also, I promise you that Bronny James story, we'll do that as well coming up on the other side. All that and more right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Mohorn. Rod Babers coming back on the Horn. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday on the Rodcast. That's when Patrick the Idillionaire, he goes deep down the rabbit hole of the catalog of one particular artist or one particular group or band. And today, that band actually is the Commodores because of the artist Lionel Richie, who will be celebrating a birthday this week.
Yes, I believe turns 75 tomorrow.
All right, who was a former member of the Commodores. And so we're playing all Commodores jams with Lionel Richie, the Lionel Richie years. And I imagine the Lionel Richie years were the best years of the Commodores.
The most successful years, yes.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And other than
that is a bold move for a group to continue after losing like your main star.
Well, you're not gonna
it's like that's like the Destiny Child. They want to keep going after Beyonce.
I think they did. I don't think anybody else wanted them to keep going with after.
I don't know if they did. I don't know if they did try. Maybe they did. If they did, it was a sad attempt. But I think most of the time, after the star leaves, it's over. Like NSYNC, then keep going after with Justin Timberlake.
No, but that was the deal. I think that there's back at this point too. They were like, maybe people won't notice. Just get rid of it. I mean, we're still playing. We'll be doing the show in the back. Which one's Lionel?
Yeah, exactly. Where's Lionel? When the Jackson 5, when Michael Jackson leaves, I think they did try to continue on as like the Jacksons or something like that. But
it's still a marketable product. And then
is it? Is it?
I mean, it still is. It just then people will find out. I mean, you remember he left at 82. So there wasn't the internet for everybody to know immediately that Lionel Richie was no longer in. Now he's doing solo stuff. But you're like, that's crazy. He's doing solo stuff and the Commodores. And someone has to go. He's not in the Commodores. I hadn't been in the Commodores in 5 years.
And then when you go see him in concert, though, I mean, the disappointment if you didn't know that. Yeah. And then are they still playing the songs that Lionel Richie was singing as the Commodores? Oh, then that's even worse because it doesn't sound like Lionel Richie.
The Temptations are still playing.
They are the Temptations. I will say they never really had a true superstar.
Yeah,
like they really were. It's kind of the Temptations, the group, the name, the brand was bigger than one man. There are some groups where the one man or woman they become the superstar of it.
Yeah,
we know this. And give me the superstar of the Temptations. Nobody knows.
No.
Most people can't even give you the main star of the Temptations because you don't know who that is.
Yeah,
because that's what I'm saying. So it's different from that aspect, but usually that's one star of a band. Every band's got a star. Sorry, I know everybody don't like it. Y'all are not all treated equally, and it's usually the main singer, whoever the lead singer is. So I don't know, just rad. They kept going, but you're right. I guess you could do that back in the day, but just setting yourself up for disappointment. But you got to get them checks. You got to milk it as long as you can. Got to milk it as long as you can. All right, there you go. My man Patrick always hooking us up on a One Artist Wednesday. We appreciate that. All the musically themed days of the week. Also, the topic for the Big Fat Poll today was a great conversation started too. Speaking of NFL, we were talking about NFL early in the show. We'll continue some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. But Patrick, give the folks the topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day.
Excluding CeeDee Lamb, who is the best wide receiver in the 2025 free agency class? Couple names for you: Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Jones. There's more in there, but we can tell we're tailing off there at the end a little bit. So that's where I cut it off. We're starting to tail off there a little bit at the end. But
I'm trying to, like I said, it's because I believe Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs are close to the same. I believe they're both like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Even though Cooper has been, I don't know, I forget when Coop came into like 2015, somewhere around there. Man, I'm just trying to think because I don't think that Amari Cooper's been an All-Pro yet. I think he's had like a lot of Pro Bowls, but I don't think he's been an All-Pro, which are very different. All-Pro basically means at one point you were the best at your position, period. And I want to say Brandon Ayuk was an All-Pro this past year. So that, that's a separator right there.
Yeah. Amari Cooper turned 30 2 days ago.
There you go. Yeah. And Ayuk was a second team All-Pro, I believe, this year, if I'm not mistaken. So, maybe Stephon Diggs is, because we forget he's 30. He just seems older for some reason.
He's on his third team.
That's why. You're right. That's what it is. I was like, he seems older to me, but that's why. You're right. His third team thing. Yeah, he's been around. So it does make it seem like he's older, but he's been productive everywhere he's gone. Well, we don't know about Texans. We assume he's going to be productive. But right now, it might be Diggs for me. it was close with Coop. I like Amari Cooper, but maybe it's Diggs and maybe it's Ayuk. We don't have the sample size you have with Diggs and what you have with Amari Cooper.
Diggs was first team All Pro in 2020, second team All Pro in 2022.
Man, that's yeah. So you're talking about there's at least a stretch where he's in the conversation to be the best receiver, like in the league at that point. So I don't know if Amari Cooper has ever been there. He's been really, really productive. And like I said, Brandon Ayuk just started to ascend this year. I don't know if you got the sample size. I mean, he's really young, still on this rookie deal. But I mean, he's like I said, he's already like in the conversation, making it All Pro.
Although throw in Chris Godwin is 28. He was second team All Pro in 2019. Now that's because he had Tom Brady, but he was second team All Pro in 2019. So that is another name we can throw in there. Chris Godwin's a very good. He just seems to have tailed off a little bit.
Yep. But I know some people say, what about D-Hop? D-Hop's older though. Like I'm looking at the age thing, and D-Hop is so much older than those guys. I say so much older.
He's
he might
32.
not be that much older. I know I say so much older.
He just turned 32.
He just turned 32. Yeah.
He is a three-time first team All Pro, two-time second team All Pro.
D-Hop is definitely the most accomplished of the group. Like I said, he may have had more injuries too.
Yes.
I think maybe that's why, in my mind, he feels older because of the injuries that have piled up. If I go look at the injuries for D-Hop, he's been injured more recently and missed a lot of time recently than those other guys. So maybe that's it.
It could be. But yeah, I mean, I
love me some D-Hop. You know that, man.
Yeah, there's some really good players in that free agency class that you can go find that not all of them are going to get re-signed beforehand.
No.
So there will be some guys out there. Plus the draft class, I'm sure will be another 10 guys in that draft class that'll be, starters in the NFL.
Man, I can tell you, this position, I really don't understand what's going on in the RC. A lot of those guys are going to end up signing mercenary deals again.
Yeah.
Because teams are already stacked with wide receivers that they drafted, and they're paying their number one wide receivers. Hell, now they're paying the number two wide receivers big money too. And these guys are going to have to get in where they fit in. And so you're going to get a really good receiver on a mercenary deal potentially. Like you said, guys like Brandon Cooks, and you say Keenan Allen's on that list too?
Keenan Allen's on that list as well.
Wow. It's unbelievable. It really is. I don't know if I would be. I think I'd be more like the team that decides I'm not going to pay a guy $30 million a year. I probably would try. I probably would be in that group. I don't know if it's just there are too many wide receivers, good wide receivers out there. I can get them on the cheap. I'm not paying $30 million for one when I can go get two for about, I don't know, $40-something million. I can get two of them potentially for $40 million. I'm paying one $30 million.
Well, no, and I mean, especially if you say I can get two for 20 and a rookie, and I'll have three.
Yeah, and then I go draft. Exactly. You go draft one and get you a veteran on a short-term mercenary deal and get a proven commodity. I just don't know if I'd pay. I don't know if there are that many receivers right now. It's 4 of them, but I don't know. There'll soon be 6 to 7. I don't know if there are that many receivers worth $30 million a year. Considering, like I said, how deep the position is, deepest position in football. And like you just pointed out, we're about to see more and more stories with these veteran wide receivers available in free agency because the position is just a logjam.
And these guys don't want to re-sign for less than they feel they can get on the free. They'd rather play free agency than re-sign for 25 or 22 or whatever it is. So these guys are going, well, we'll offer you 22. And they go, nah, I think I can go get more in free agency. So they're going to play free agency, but then there's going to be a logjam in free agency. So they may not be able to get the money there either.
And then they might have to sign a mercenary deal to a prove-it deal again.
Yeah,
and it's like, come prove it.
And I think that for Diggs and Hopkins and Allen and Cooper, I think once you get to 30, no one's going to try and sign you for more than 2 years.
I think you're right about that, actually. Yeah, because when you think about it, because they'll be at the end of a second contract by then, right?
Yeah,
somewhere around there, toward the end of a second contract. So why would you want to sign, especially when you're getting so many young, good wide receivers in the draft? Good stuff there. All right, that's the topic for the Big Fat Poll today. Go check it out. We'll get that posted on X for you. All right, before we get into we'll get to Rod's rant. We'll also get to a couple of NFL topics here. Let's get updated. Let's get educated and informed with all the top stories of the day with Patrick Davis and the Horn headlines.
Horn Headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Willie Mays, passed away yesterday at the age of 93. In a 20-plus year career, the Say Hey Kid made 24 All-Star teams, won 2 NL MVP awards, won 12 Gold Gloves, ranked 6th on all-time home runs, 7th in runs scored, 12th in RBIs, and 13th in hits, among others. He will be remembered and honored at a game on Thursday at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, with the Giants facing the Cardinals. In Major League Baseball, the Astros dropped the first game of their series with the White Sox 2-0 yesterday. The Astros were able to get 7 hits in the game, but could not string together hits with runners on to get on the board. Framber Valdez got through 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, but 5 walks allowed 2 runs to come across on ground balls. The Astros will now send Hunter Brown to the mound as they work to figure out the rotation a day after putting Justin Verlander on the 15-day IL. And the Rangers lost to the Mets 7-6 after the bullpen could not maintain the lead, allowing 4 runs in the final 3 innings to fall behind 2-0 in the series. Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford added home runs to their season totals, but the Rangers scoring stopped after getting a 6-2 lead in the 5th and were not able to get hit against the Mets bullpen. Andrew Henning will get the start today as the Rangers try to salvage a win in the series, and that is your Horn Headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn Headlines. We'll get to some Texans talk, a little Cowboys talk here as well. There's a quote from DeMarvio on Overshown that I want to get to that I think is really interesting. And also, we got some sound that we'll hear from Raheem Morris, the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. There's a lot of buzz about what they're going to do with Bijan Robinson, how they're going to use Bijan Robinson. I'm sure you fantasy nerds out there will be really excited about that. So we'll get to that coming up here in this segment too. Let's start though with let's start with a little love for Willie Mays, because we didn't get into this in the first hour, but it's crazy. They always say that celebrity deaths of icons and legends that they happen in threes. In this, well, that certainly feels like that was the case in the sports world, because we had Bill Walton. I don't know how long ago that was, right? It
was right before the finals. So
it was right before the finals, and then Jerry West, most recently, and then Willie Mays. And that's, you're talking about some of the all-time GOATs in their respective sports. So happening in threes, unfortunately, but it's the legacy of Willie Mays. I said this earlier, man, we don't give him enough love, and he passed away at the age of 93. So a great life. But some of the stats and the achievements of Willie Mays and the accolades are just mind-blowing. First of all, he was an all-star in 3 different decades. That's crazy. We talk about longevity and sustained excellence. That's probably the best description of his career. But here's some of the crazy stats. So from age 30 on, so we're just starting at age 30, when we were just talking about how wide receivers in the NFL are breaking down. You don't want to pay for that. Right? So this is when those guys started breaking down. He started professionally at age 20, but he was an all-star in 13 seasons after 30 years old, won 8 Gold Gloves, hit 381 home runs, and a 916 OPS after the age of 30. That after you're supposedly out of your prime. Another great stat I found about him: he struck out more than 100 times, only once in his career. And he led the league in walks, OBP that same year. It was his 20th season. He was 40 when that happened. That is, like I said, to lead the league in walks at the age of 4. That's just, like I said, some freaky stuff going on. He also, and I saw this, they didn't start Gold Gloves until his 6th season. He won the first 12. Won a Gold Glove like the first 12 years of its existence. He had an OPS of 960, hit 435 home tunes, and played 153 games during those dozen years, in those 12 years. Just like I said, over and over again, the Willie Mays stats are just mind-blowing. There are some people who say he's the greatest defensive player of all time. And then you can make that argument.
Playing center field too.
Yeah. And 24-time All-Star.
Yeah, that's
24.
No,
24.
the numbers. It's it's the stuff of we've seen it. We saw with Jerry West as well. The numbers on some of that stuff is just remarkable stuff that they were able to do in just iconic of a generation.
Yeah. No, it's like I said, and the recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom because he served his country too.
Yes.
So there was also some wartime that took away from his career. Too. So I mean, yeah, man. Not enough. I don't know. There's not enough praise you could heap on someone like Willie Mays, and we didn't even get into some of the stuff, some of the great stories away from the Diamond. But he's like I said, that's 93 years. I don't know if you could say anybody that achieved more in baseball than Willie Mays did. I mean, you can make that argument that he might be like one of the most decorated pro baseball players of all time. Period. If you just look at the entire resume, sustained excellence. So rest in peace to the Say Hey Kid. All right, there you go. So we'll take your thoughts as well on the text line 512-447-3776 on Willie Mays and his passing. We've lost some legends recently. Jerry West, as we mentioned too, and Bill Walton, part of that group too, most recently. All right, let's get to some NFL discussion. So I saw this quote from my man DeMarvin Overshawn. I don't think it was a shot at Dan Quinn, but some people are taking it as a shot at Dan Quinn. So he was asked about the new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, for the Cowboys. And he said, quote, "I like Zim because he actually teaches us football. You feel it and you get a good grasp of everything going on with the defense. You know what the safeties are doing and what the D-line are doing in front of you, and it's easy to click with everybody. I tell people all the time that I'm excited to play for him. I've seen who he's coached, the defenses he's been a part of, and they've all been special. When you get to play for a guy like this, you want to take everything that he says and write it down and make a mental note of it, because he's not telling you anything that's not going to make you a great player in this league." So some people are saying, "Oh man, he's dissing, Dan Quinn, saying he actually teaches you the game and Dan Quinn didn't." Maybe he's learning more. Maybe it's a teaching style of Mike Zimmer that he prefers. That could be the case. I definitely listen. The Cowboys defense improved with Dan Quinn. There's no doubt. I mean, it became one of the, in terms of takeaways and pressures and sacks, it was one of the best havoc defenses in the NFL. And that was the purpose of it. The purpose of it was to be a havoc defense. And they wanted to cause confusion and cause chaos. So with that being said, what he needed you to do is what Dan Quinn needed his defense to do, is to specialize at their isolated pockets of chaos, right? So he needs his corners to know how to play man to man and play some bump and run and press, probably disproportionately more than most teams do. He used more 3 safeties than anybody in the NFL. That was real specialized. Nobody used 3 safeties the way he did as part of like his base package. He ran more twists and stunts on the defensive line, on defensive front, played more games than any other team in the NFL. So what he was trying to do, used hybridism as much as anybody in the NFL, position flex guys, hybrids. Micah Parsons being one of those guys, even, J-Run Kurz and DeMarvin Overshawn being another one of those guys. He loved hybrids so that he could move different pieces around the chessboard. All of this with the intention of creating chaos and confusion on the part of the quarterback, because you're moving the safeties around pre-snap and post-snap. He rotated his safeties as much as anybody. They had 3 safeties, so you never knew where those different interchangeable pieces were going to be. He liked hybrid, so you could move guys like Micah from defensive end to linebacker, and use the twists and stunts up front to engineer mismatches and matchup advantages. And that would confuse the blocking schemes up front. Quarterback is confused because the pre-snap never matches the post-snap. The wide receiver timing and precision is off because you're playing bump and run on the outside. Everything meant to just cause confusion. And he didn't necessarily need you to have to know the inner workings of the entire defense. And he didn't need you to know what the rules that bind the structural integrity of the defense at every level. He needs you to specialize and become an expert in your isolated, pocket of chaos. I need you to specialize in that. Do what you do and do it really well. Mike Zimmer's a little different. It's his defense is it's more stability to it, right? He doesn't gamble as much, don't take as many risks. So I think his defense is they'll end up being better. They're more structurally sound. They'll be better against the run. They won't cause as many turnovers because what causes turnovers? Well, confusion by the quarterback, chaos, right? And timing, precision being off, confusing blocking schemes. That's why Dan Quinn's defense created a lot of takeaways, right? Led the NFL in takeaways in back-to-back years. It was one of the top 5 teams in pressures, right? Because it's doing a lot of twists and stunts up front to confuse blocking schemes and create pressure. A lot of hybrids on that defense to create pressure and matchup, engineer matchup advantages. So it was just different. There was a basically there is a different result and a different intent for a Dan Quinn defense. He's just trying to create turnovers and takeaways, and he is trying to get pressure. Those are his 2 main goals, and he achieved those. The goals of Zimmer defense will be different. That's why it's more structurally sound than a Dan Quinn defense. It won't take as many chances, so I think it'll be better initially against the run. It won't cause as much pressure. It won't have as much pressure. It won't give as many havoc plays, splash plays, and it won't give as many takeaways. But I think you'll be better against the run, and you got good corners. You might have the best cornerback tandem. We're just talking about all pros. You got 2 all pros. You got 2 corners who made all pros in the last 3 years, and they've led the NFL in interceptions basically the last 3 years too. That's how good your corners are. So your corners are really good. So you can play man to man if you need to. You won't play 3 safeties. You'll play more linebackers, more 40 personnel. So I said you'll be better against the run. I think you'll be even more sound on that side. You'll give up fewer explosive plays and deep balls overall too. Like I said, you won't create the splash plays on the opposite side just because Zimmer doesn't gamble like Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's a riverboat gambler. Dude. He's always every damn down he's gambling, and that's why every now and then he'll just lose. But when he wins big. Right? We're talking about non-offensive touchdowns big. We're talking about interceptions big. We're talking about sacks big. So when he hits, he hits. With Zimmer, you're not going to hit as many splash plays, but you're also not going to gamble as much. So you won't give up as many chunk yardage plays either in the run game or the pass game. So that's maybe DeMar DeRozan is learning more from Zimmer, but I think Zimmer's teaching style and coaching style that matters, but also think the intent is I need you to know more about this defense so that you know the rules that bind the structural integrity of this defense so that you understand, all right, if there is something that is amiss in the front that you can help problem solve. Dan Quinn don't need you problem solving.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn needs you to just be aggressively executing whatever specialization you have. Just become really good at it. Zimmer might need you to be more of a problem solver on a macro level. So know what the guys in front of you and behind you are doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just different. There are different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
That's all.
No. And I think especially if you have players like Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs and now Deron Bland, that are guys that, maybe are more risk takers, that the rest of the defense needs to know if you see Micah running like this, make sure that he like you see the run, understand where you need to be on the field. That if your assignment's here, but you see this, you need to move because this is a explosive play going to your right. Whereas Dan Quinn goes, I don't care. Whatever happens here, we're taking the chance because we believe that we called the right play. So I need you to hit the A gap. No matter what, you hit the A gap. I don't care if you see if you see a running back with the ball headed to the outside, hit the A gap.
Yep,
and
exactly right.
And so it's a different style. And I'm sure for Overshawn, it is probably more along the lines of, I never understood why he wanted me to do that. And he just told me to do that. And he would tell me this, but I couldn't understand. It didn't seem to make sense, but he also wasn't playing last year. So there's also a certain factor of, I feel that now he's on the field and playing in camp. He probably enjoys that, but he didn't play in the system last year. He was hurt. He went through training camp. He went through beginnings, but he got hurt early on. So,
maybe coach is not teaching it to you. He's like, you ain't going to be playing it. Why am I going to take the time to teach it to you when you ain't playing right now?
But it is good to hear. I'm happy for him that he is enjoying, because there was a little bit of worry that his style may not fit as well with Zimmer.
Yes.
So it's good to hear that he seems like he feels like he's fitting in. That's good to hear, because we know the talent that he has, but that was a little bit of a worry.
No, you're right about that because he's a Dan Quinn guy and he's a hybrid.
Yeah,
Dan
he's a
Quinn
hybrid guy.
likes hybrids. And Zimmer is more of a traditional base 4-3 guy. So he wants to come to some of your traditional linebackers. And DeMarvin Overshown was anything that's kind of a new age progressive space. I always call them spread babies, but they're great in space, right? And in the passing game and in coverage. So I'm with you. That's a great point there, Patrick. About and like I said, Zimmer's defense are just more assignment sound, less risk. And Dan Quinn wanted athletes flying all over the place, right? He liked to use a lot of sub packages, right? A lot of nickel, a lot of dime. Now, hell, Zimmer's going back to using more 4-3, more 40 personnel. So that they could be more structurally sound. So it's just different ways of thinking. Like that's Dan Quinn loved speed and he wanted speed on the field. He wanted linebackers that ran like DBs and hell, like that used to be DBs. And he wants his as many DBs on the field as possible. That got him in trouble when he went against run heavy offenses like the Miami Dolphins and Green Bay Packers playing sub package. Now they had to do that because they had some injuries at linebacker, but in Zimmer's defense, he's going to stockpile more linebackers than he is DBs. He's not going to be playing 3 safeties. So it's just, like I said, different mentality. But I think it should be benefiting a guy like DeMarvion Overshown because now he's going to be forced to learn how to fit the run in that system. And one of the criticisms of Dan Quinn is they didn't really teach his linebackers about run fitting as their top priority. We know that because look at Michael. It's not really something he does as a strength. All right, there you go. Some Cowboys discussion. All right, I want to balance it out with some Texas discussion, so we'll do that on the other side. Raj rant. I'll hit that Bronny story. That will be the Raj rant. We'll make sure we do that because we haven't done it yet. Let's hit the Bronny story in Raj rant. We'll also give you a little Texans nugget on the other side as well. We got a lot to talk about here on the show today. Lots of NFL, so we'll come back and do it right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into Rod's rant of the day, and I had a couple of nuggets that I want to share and talk about. First is about Bronny James. I've been teasing this story for a while, so I apologize. I want to get to it. So, Bronny James reportedly is going to get drafted potentially in the second round. A lot of people believe like he's going to end up in the second round of the draft somewhere. And they were discussing Bronny James on, I believe it's NBA Today. I believe they were talking about a mock draft on the NBA Today. And they had one of their insiders, I believe it's Draft Express is what he's known as in the Twitterverse. And this is a nugget that he dropped on there when they were discussing where Bronny James was going in their latest mock draft. We're just a week away from the NBA draft, as Patrick told us. So listen to what they're discussing on NBA Today about the prospects of where Bronny James might land.
I don't think it'll surprise anybody that we have him 55th to the Lakers. This has been...
I mean, that's a big deal.
This is the way that it's been trending for years now. NBA teams that I've talked to say they cannot get Bronny James into their building. Teams that are drafting in the late 20s and the 30s. The Phoenix Suns have a second workout scheduled with Bronny later this week. But other than that, we have not seen any NBA team be able to work him out. The sense among teams is that his agent, Rich Paul, does not want him on a two-way contract. And the range that he's going to be picked, that 40 to 58 range, those are where two-way contracts are handed out. So it's looking right now like Bronny James is going to slide there to 55. I don't think any NBA team wants to, pick him and deal with the repercussions of that. So that's the way it's trending as of today.
All right, Patrick, you're our NBA guy. You watch a lot of NBA. You keep up with a lot of the NBA news and the rumor mill as well. So what does this mean with basically Bronny James? But very few teams can get a hold of him for private workouts. What does it mean for his draft status?
So this is not hugely surprising. This was talked about, at the beginning of the process and everything, that when he was coming out, he basically wants to go somewhere that he feels will be friendly to him, or the James camp wants him to go somewhere that feels will be more friendly to him than somebody drafting him and then basically only using it as a possibility to get LeBron to come there, and LeBron doesn't. They're just going to bury him, and who cares? I think that's what they're a little bit more afraid of. We don't want him to go somewhere, and then you guys don't care about him as a player, and you're like, it's a second-round pick. We don't care about second-round picks. Like, especially a really good team, they're like, he's going to be on a two-way. We'll send him to the G League. If he's good, we'll use him, but we're not going to care about him. The only reason we're using him is bait to get you, or maybe we can trick the Lakers into giving us a first for him or something like that. So I think that was what they're more afraid of, is they don't want him to be collateral damage in a game for his dad. But the reality is they're playing the system the exact opposite way, but the same thing of, they understood that the reason to come out in this draft, even though he probably could have used another year or two in college, is that this is the weakest draft we've had in a long time. And they know, we can go ahead, and he does have some sort of value in the second round in this draft, because you're not going to find a diamond in the rough necessarily at the end of this draft. Now you could. There's always those guys, Manu Ginobili, Isaiah Thomas, Jokic. Those are all guys that you found late in the draft.
Yeah.
But as far as what they want is, they said, okay, Phoenix doesn't have a lot of players on that team. We know some of the guys that are there. We feel better about him going there because, basically everyone who's playing in Phoenix right now, there's a lot of guys on that roster that were two-way guys and guys that weren't making a roster before. They need guards. So it makes sense there. I think there's a lot of teams where they just feel that he wouldn't necessarily be in. Now, I think that it could be there are more teams than none that are getting in, but I'm sure that there are small market teams that he's not going to go to Oklahoma City. He's not going to go, so what? I'm not going to your tryout. I get you want to work me out, but you more want to work me out because you're working everybody out. And it's not worth my time to go do that. It makes sense if you're Bronny James. All this makes sense if you're Bronny James. It doesn't make sense if you're any other player, but it's, it is what it is. He's one of the best players to ever play the game's kid. He clearly has enough physical ability to be able to play the game. So if any of that wore off on him, then he should have a high basketball IQ. He should be able to be coordinated enough, and you can see what you got with him. But if you say Phoenix gets a workout, maybe one or two other teams get a workout, then the odds of anybody really going after him are pretty slim. Now, somebody could, just to be a jerk. There's enough owners in this league who just want to screw around. And the owner, I don't think GMs would do it. I think an owner could walk out and say, no, draft him.
His own agenda of some kind.
No, he's going to draw us. He's Bronny James. We want to get talked about.
Yeah,
we want this. Exactly. So let's go see if we can go get him. And the GM will say, that's a bad idea. Like, it's not going to work out the way you think it is. But there's enough owners in the league now in the NBA who want to make a splash and want to do something. Somebody could try and go after him. But most likely you see him fall to the Lakers. The Lakers take him in the second round. He still gets drafted. He goes to where he wants to go. LeBron gets what he wants in that. I'm assuming we'll find out who the Lakers head coach is in a week. I assume they'll have a head coach before the draft.
Man, damn. It's in a week. You're right. I mean,
it's Wednesday. It's next Wednesday. It's 1 week from today. It's the 26th.
Has a team ever? They can't.
It's happened. I mean,
before the draft, right?
It's happened because the general manager is going to make the picks anyway. But normally you'd like to know who your coach is.
Highly irregular because you don't know what your system you're going to be.
Yeah, and it also goes further on to that. It really tells you how low of a coach you're going to have to find. That if no coach is coming to you before the draft, less coaches want to come after the draft. Yeah,
it's like exactly. You can't if I'm gonna cook the meal, let me buy some of the groceries or at least have some input on what kind of groceries you're gonna buy. That's interesting. Yeah, it's I have no idea. Now you know what I will say this: the NBA and they don't even have the second round on air, right?
They do. They've done
it live.
They do, and they have now NFL'd it. It is on day 2.
Okay, you know what? This could all just be brilliant marketing because now you got people they're gonna watch round 2 because they know that's the Bronny James round, and just to find out where he's going because you're right that it will be of interest. It will be a big headline. It'll probably be one of the top 3 headlines coming out of the draft. Will be where did Bronny James land if he was even drafted. I didn't realize that. Okay, now it makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
because I mean, why else would you watch the second round of the NBA draft unless you're just watching your team? Listen, I don't even watch every round of the NFL draft, and I'm an NFL fiend. I can't even do that.
There are people in college fans that will watch it because they want to see where their guy's going to go.
Yeah.
So there's reasons to, but it will not get the ratings that the night 1 gets. But even this night 1 is not going to be super watched because there's not any. There's just not a star, and then a lot of the guys are foreign, so it's not something where you're going to see it. And then it's like UConn guys, and it's not necessarily the stars. Like Reed Shepherd is not a guy that I think not a lot of people like. He'll get drafted high, but he's like a 6'3" shooting. Like he's just like guys like that, and Stephen Castle and Klingman. Like they're good players, but I don't know if they have the cachet as a name player. Zach Edey is a guy who goes second round. He could go late first to second round.
Yeah.
If he stays in, people could care about where he ends up. He's a guy that would always be a second round pick, but this year, because the draft is less, that he could be a late first round pick.
Yeah, you're right. This is actually this last WNBA draft was like their best draft they've ever had because of all the discussions and all the headlines that the ladies made during the college basketball season. So I guess now kind of the opposite happening with the men. Not a lot of buzz around the guys coming out in the draft class, and it may affect the ratings, or it will affect the ratings for the NBA draft. All right, there you go. Some NBA draft discussion. It's just a week away, so I'm glad my man Patrick let us know about that yesterday. Like, don't fall asleep. That's after, if you're an NBA fan, after the NBA finals, because you got the draft right around the corner.
Start looking up, and it is a crazy one to try and figure out what's going to happen because there's always misinformation, and then you never really know who has inside information and who just says they do, and what what's real.
But the clicks now, he's like everybody will click on it now. It's like, hey, I got this trade maybe brewing.
So we've gone. I know, like the Spurs have gone from they're definitely drafting offensive players to they're definitely drafting defensive players. So
they're going to trade. Remember that
they were going to trade them, and they're going to trade up, and they're going to trade out, and
it's
all that stuff. Atlanta was going to trade out of the first pick, and now they're definitely taking the number 1 pick. There's a lot of misinformation going around. So there will be some interest going into it. You could see a big trade as well. Draft nights are always piece where you could see a trade. But yeah, it's not. As we get closer, I think we'll get a little bit more realistic. So next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think we'll get a little bit more realistic view of what could be happening in the draft.
Okay. All right, there you go. So the NBA draft right around the corner. We'll continue, obviously, to get you keep you updated on any of the stories coming out of that, or at least leading up to that. Let's real quick. I want to get to this statistical comparison of the running backs, the two top running backs potentially for the Cowboys this season, at least right now, Rico Dowdle and Zeke. Because you can make the argument they don't have a number one running back, truly a running back by committee, but the talks are that Zeke, because of his, seniority and the fact that he's been there before and everybody loves Zeke, that Zeke is going to kind of take on the role as the lead back of this committee. So how about this? If you look at all of these statistical categories, EPA per rush, yards per carry, yards after contact per attempt, elusive rating, breakaway percentage, yards per reception, and yards after the catch per reception, and yards per route run by running backs. Dowdle topped Zeke last year in all those categories. They were both bad at pass blocking, though, or decent. I guess you could say Zeke was a better pass blocker, but yeah,
but that's everything I've seen in all the stats I've seen. I did not watch a lot of Patriots football last year. But his pass blocking numbers were awful last year.
They weren't great. I think he's better than Rico, but they weren't great. No.
Yeah, that was because everything you saw was, well, he's supposed to be the best pass blocker, but apparently in New England that was not the case. Maybe that's system, maybe that was coaching, maybe that was the bad quarterbacking. I don't know what it was, but apparently those numbers dipped pretty precipitously last season in New England. But also, Ricky Dowdle's supposed to be the better running back.
Yeah. And my wonder is that will he be a lead back because he is statistically, you can see he's analytically the better running back.
He should be.
Will they give it to Zeke? That's the question here.
No. And Rico Dowdle should. Everything that they've built up, everything that they have said, everything about keeping him on the roster and playing him last season has all been building to the fact that they believe he could be a lead back in the NFL. That's what they're showing, at least. Their cards are showing, says that they believe that Rico Dowdle can be the lead back in a committee. Not that he's the number, a bell cow, but he could be a lead back in a committee. And I mean, you have to see it to believe it. But that's what they've been building for. That's why they made a point to keep him for multiple years, where it was not necessarily that people didn't believe that he was going to ever get to that point. This is the season to prove it. It just feels like you should have a plan B in case he's not that guy.
I agree,
but that is what they're going to go with right now, and so best.
Well, the hope is that they go with Dowdle. My question is, with all the headlines that Zeke is getting, will they make Zeke the lead back in the committee? And statistically, they say he should not. All the analytics say that he should not be the lead back.
So if he's the lead back,
a part of the committee, and Dowdle should be the lead of the committee.
But he won't be the lead back by week 3. Like that's the thing is. Zeke, that experiment will play itself out no matter what. So if you want to start him, great. Play him first couple of weeks and immediately realize that he's not getting any yardage. He's past his prime. He's an okay running back in situations, but he's not going to ever be your lead back again because he wasn't a good lead back several years ago. So we know that he was already dwindling then. So unless he has some career resurgence, I wouldn't think that he would be the guy now. So if he is, the reason I say Rico Dowdle is because at least there's hope with Rico Dowdle. I don't think there's that same hope with Zeke that all of a sudden he's going to rekindle something from 5 seasons ago. I think it's a better belief to believe that Rico Dowdle could improve his game and hit his stride and be the guy. You saw flashes of it last year. You saw him have good runs. The problem is about consistency. And so is he going to be able to be consistent enough week in and week out, different defenses, different guys going after him, taking the wear and tear of carrying the ball more and more and still have that burst of speed and still be able to go? He was really good last year when there was holes. When he got the hole, he could hit the hole real quick and go through it. But I didn't necessarily see a ton of him waiting for the hole, finding it, and then bursting through. I didn't see that part of his game. But if you could create, and if he's supposed to go through the B gap and the B gap worked, he was through it. The question is,
I got no problem with his. I'm with you, but I just don't like. My point is that if the Cowboys start Zeke, then I think their priorities are a little off because I'm not sure Zeke would have earned that spot.
No, I agree.
And it should be about earning the spot in meritocracy. And if that's where we are, because it's definitely not about money at the running back position, that Rico Dowdle should be the guy. If he's not, then like I said, the Cowboys, maybe a miscalculation.
I have enough faith in Mike McCarthy, and I know that's a crazy thing to say, but Mike McCarthy's a good coach. I have enough faith that Mike McCarthy is going to make the right decision, and he's going to let Jerry and let the machine talk all at once during the offseason. And when we get to week 1, he'll make the right decision. I've faith because he's a good coach. He's not a great coach, but a good coach.
The right decision would be Rico Dowdle's the guy.
Yeah.
And Zeke comes in situationally, but they like our guys and they love them from Zeke.
We still could see another running back head over there at some point. There still is time. There still is the roster cuts, the roster adjustments as we get closer to the season. So there still could be another addition to this running back core as well.
There could be. There should be, actually.
Yes.
But my question would be, the guy you're going to bring in, you bringing him in, you want someone to be the lead back? Are they better than Rico Dowdle? Or are they better than Zeke? Like, you should be trying to upgrade there.
Yes.
All right, there you go. Some Cowboys discussion. We come back. We'll get into what the facts, what the stats right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis and Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Austin is a great city. We all know it. That's why people keep moving here, making the traffic even worse. But that's okay. As the city continues to grow and thrive, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. Many of the iconic landmarks that we love in this city were actually constructed and built by the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local Union 482, like the Pennybacker Bridge and DKR Stadium. And now the folks over at Ironworkers Local 482 are constructing another big project right here in Central Texas, and they need your help. They're actually hiring over 3,000 people for this project right here in Central Texas. They're offering competitive wages, they offer competitive benefits and a pension plan. They even offer training for unskilled labor through their apprenticeship program. So right now is the perfect time for you to join this prestigious organization, whether you're looking for an exciting employment opportunity or a refreshing career change, or maybe you want a new challenge, or you simply want to feel valued by your employer. You can become a valued member of Ironworkers Local 482, and you can take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. So today, just go online and apply today at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into some stats, what the facts, what the stats. If you're looking at years since last making the NFL playoffs, there was one team that by far and away leads in that category. It will be the Jets. 13 years since the Jets' last NFL playoff appearance. Damn, that's a long time. 60% right now, 60% of the bets over at MGM are on the Jets to miss the playoffs. 60%. And you know what? The way that Aaron Rodgers is conducting himself doing mandatory minicamp, out hanging out at some ayahuasca retreat or whatever he's doing, I'm probably I take that bet that they're gonna miss the playoffs, especially with how loaded things are in that conference in the AFC. All right, another factor.
What was the stat I saw the other day that in the AFC or whatever division they're in,
the AFC
East, that what percentage are they? Give me 1 second. Sorry. Whatever their division is, they are the fourth. They are the fifth in AFC East championships because the Colts used to be in that division.
Oh, wow. I was about to say, how is that possible? Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the Jets. I was even looking at a list of the worst head coaching hires in NFL history from Pro Football Network, and the Jets were on there multiple times for just horrible hires. The Jets have actually been a bit. I mean, they've been a train wreck, a dumpster fire, going onto a flaming landfill for a decade plus. So it'll be interesting to see if Aaron Rodgers can turn things around there. All right, here's another factoid before we get out of here. This weekend's Fever Sky game with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese facing off, and then that was the flagrant foul by Angel Reese. It averaged 2.25 million viewers on CBS, made it the most watched WNBA game on any network in 23 years. So they still continue to get the ratings, man. People are still right now buzzing about women's basketball, whether it be talking about the college or the program. Women's basketball is definitely having its moment. Got to take advantage of it. I would argue not putting Caitlin Clark on the national team for the Olympics was a mistake, and not taking advantage of this marquee moment in sports history that women's basketball seems to be having right now. The interest is at its peak, it would seem, and that continues to be the case. All right, that's what the facts, what the stats. We come back, we'll get into a NFL story that is not getting a lot of headlines, but you want to be rooting for the NFL to lose this lawsuit because it'll make your entertainment experience so much better. When it comes to NFL viewing, we'll get into that. Also, we'll give a shout out to Willie Mays once again and his great accomplishment, passing away yesterday at the age of 93. We'll also dive into the latest NBA draft discussion because the NBA draft is right around the corner. Lots of buzz about where Bronny James is going to end up. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain, talk about the Longhorn Texas backfield getting a lot of love, the DBs there from Pro Football Focus. And also, are we not talking enough about the tight end position? That's something we'll address. Lots of that and more. And we got my man Nick Shuley coming in, Settlers ATX. That's in the 9 o'clock hour, jam-packed right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let's talk about Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star team. He's my dentist, needs to be your dentist as well because he's the best dentist in Austin. It's just that simple. Thanks to Dr. Eckert and his fantastic team, my dental health and dental hygiene have never been better. As a matter of fact, the first time I ended up going there for a checkup and just for just a regular cleaning. Turns out that checkup was pretty thorough. They found that my wisdom teeth were growing in sideways. They needed to act quickly before it became a dire situation. They did. I was well informed about the entire process, educated about the entire thing, and I felt great about it. Went into the procedure, had it done, was back at work within 2 days, as you guys know. And thanks to them, I avoided what could have been a disastrous situation, and they can do the same for you. Now, hopefully, when you go visit Dr. Eckert and his team, it's not as serious as having all your wisdom teeth removed like I had to do. But if it's anything, general dentistry, teeth whitening, dentures, porcelain, crowns, veneers, dental implants, full mouth reconstruction, even root canal therapy, whatever it takes to ensure you're getting the best quality dental care and dental experience available and possible, that's what Dr. Eckert and his team are all about. And because they're always on the cutting edge of the technological advances in general dentistry right now, he can give you a brand new smile in just 1 day, permanently secured to your dental implants. No time spent without teeth. You'll get temporary fixtures first until they can complete your permanent smile, and you'll smile again and eat freely without pain or discomfort. So we're talking about a lifelike permanent solution. So if you've been told your teeth need to be replaced and you already have dentures right now, you need to reach out to Dr. Greg Eckert today to learn about this revolutionary alternative to dentures. It's a brand new smile in just 1 day, a complimentary consultation. So you got nothing to lose, but so much to gain, because a confident smile can truly change your life. And Dr. Eckert wants to change your life for the better. So give him a call, 512-345-3166. That's 512-345-3166, or visit dreckert.com, DRUECKERT.com. Welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday. That's when the Idillionaire Patrick Davis goes deep down the rabbit hole into the catalog of one specific artist or group. And that artist or group today is the Commodores, but it's actually in celebration of one of the former artists who was a member of the Commodores, Lionel Richie, who's celebrating a birthday this week. So One Artist Wednesday, giving you some of the bangers from the Commodores, the Lionel Richie years. Apparently there were some years without Lionel that probably weren't as
you listen to Night
weren't as
Shift.
successful.
Night Shift was a hit.
Night Shift was a hit. Okay, there you go.
I believe it's like a tribute to a lot of soul artists. I believe, if I'm thinking of the right song, it's basically they're naming off a bunch of soul artists and then kind of doing a tribute to them.
Okay. All right. There you go. I don't even think I actually remember the song Night Shift, but we're not playing that one anyway. I'll look it up. Don't worry. I'll Google that one at one point. But there you go. My man Patrick hooking you up on a One Artist Wednesday. Appreciate him for all of his efforts and creativity on the musically themed days of the week. Also, we have a great conversation going online on our X account. Go check it out at the Horn ATX, or you can go on the text line as well, 512-447-3776. The big fat poll of the day. Patrick, give the folks the topic for the big fat poll of the day.
Big fat poll of the day today, excluding CeeDee Lamb, who is the best wide receiver in the 2025 free agency class? Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Braden Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Zay Jones are all in that class. On the list, I put Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, and T. Higgins. That is leaving off Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. That is Chris Godwin is a all second team for a year. DeAndre Hopkins, of course, extremely prolific career so far, but a little bit older, 32. But yeah, there's a pretty good class that's coming out right now. Brandon Ayuk winning. I'm kind of surprised to see him winning it. I thought Diggs would kind of get that one, but Diggs is coming in second right now.
Yeah, Diggs. I'm a little surprised. I think I voted for Diggs on here. He was my pick. He's at 35%, and Brandon Ayuk at 41%. People love some Brandon Ayuk.
No love for Amari Cooper. I think there's some Cowboys dislike for Amari Cooper on there.
Which, I don't understand. It's not. Yeah, well, I remember. Yeah, that was like during like the COVID times too. Remember that was like some issues there. So yeah, that could be obviously some bad blood there with Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is finishing last, by the way.
Yes.
Amari Cooper's coming last 2 seasons. I think he's had like over 2,400 yards receiving last 2 years.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Damn good. He's a scrub or something on this list. So yeah,
I mean, T. Higgins is good too, but T. Higgins is
clearly a number 2.
Yeah, he wants to be a number 1, but
he wants to be a number 1. But he's clearly a number 2. Hell, yeah. So I'm a little confused about why Amari Cooper's getting so. But you're right. Maybe it's just the Cowboys fans who don't like Amari Cooper, and they have bad memories of his time with the Dallas Cowboys. But he's been really, really good. And I'm not joking. He actually could threaten to get into that $30 million a year club if the Browns want to overpay for him, because I've heard they're working on extension with him. I brought this up yesterday. So they're working on extension with him. He's going to make – they just signed Judy to, I think, a new deal, like a $58 million deal. Man, he's going to be paid more than the Devontae Smith. And where's Devontae Smith at? Like 25 or 26?
Something like that, yeah.
Somewhere around there. So he's going to be between 25 and 30 million. If he's got a really good agent, he's going to get into the $30 million category. If not, then he'll be 25 million. Remember, he was making 20 mil a year before a lot of wide receivers were. When he was making 20 mil a year in 2020, there were only 5 wide receivers, I believe, at the time making 20 mil a year. And now there are 20 or 21 receivers, I think, making at least 21 mil a year.
Yeah. Devontae Smith, 3 years, 75 million. So 25 a year.
Yeah. So 25 million. I think he's going to get that. He's going to demand that easily.
Yeah.
He might get more than that if his agent's really good. His problem is, his problem. They haven't had, Deshaun Watson really hasn't been able to claim his old form, been able to, replicate that elite season when he was basically playing like a top 5 quarterback with the Texans. And then they had Joe Flacco last year that led them to the playoffs. So it would help if you had a quarterback that saw you as their guy, like the franchise quarterback. And maybe Deshaun Watson does that, but Deshaun Watson really hasn't proven that he's elite. It's almost like Dak and CD, where it's like, well, yeah, Dak's great. Dak's got CD. So it's like, they go hand in hand. Like, you're not Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. It's like, no. You're gonna sign Joe Burrow. You're gonna sign Jamar Chase. And I don't know if Amari Cooper's got that kind of relationship with Deshaun, where they go, no. Well, you're necessary for Deshaun's success.
I don't know if anybody wants that. You don't want to be like publicly have that relationship with Deshaun. Even Privately, maybe, but publicly.
That is fair. That's a great point too. Yeah, point taken. All right, let's get to the horn, the headlines here. Let's get updated, educated, and informed on all the top stories of the day, and then we'll come back and talk about what is currently the biggest story in the NFL, but nobody's talking about it. But first, let's get with Patrick Davis and the horn headlines.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Willie Mays, passed away yesterday at the age of 93. In a 20-plus year career, the Say Hey Kid made 24 All-Star teams, won 2 NL MVP awards, won 12 Gold Gloves, ranked 6th all-time in home runs, 7th in runs scored, 12th in RBIs, and 13th in hits. He will be remembered and honored at a game on Thursday at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, with the Giants facing the Cardinals. And in Major League Baseball, the Astros dropped the first game of their series with the White Sox 2-0 yesterday. The Astros were able to get 7 hits in the game, but could not string together hits with runners on to get on the board. Framber Valdez got through 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, but 5 walks, allowed 2 runs to come across on ground balls. The Astros will now send Hunter Brown to the mound as they work to figure out their rotation a day after putting Justin Verlander on the 15-day IL. And the Rangers lost to the Mets 7-6 after the bullpen could not maintain the lead, allowing 4 runs in the final 3 innings to fall behind 2-0 in the series. Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford added home runs to their season totals, but the Rangers scoring stopped after getting a 6-2 lead in the 5th and were not able to get hits against the Mets bullpen. Andrew Henny will get the start as the Rangers try to salvage a win in the series tonight, and that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the horn headlines there. All right, so this is the big headline coming out of the lawsuit against the NFL. For those who haven't been keeping up with it, and most have not, because it's a lot of legalese and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's happening. The NFL really doesn't want to be public knowledge, but it's a trial, so there's only so much that they can try to keep from coming out. So there has been a lawsuit filed by Sunday Ticket subscribers, and it's in its 3rd week of this trial. And the NFL, and by the way, this lawsuit was filed initially like 9 years ago, and it was dismissed. It threw out the case. They appealed it. Then it's been reinstated, and now they finally have gone to trial. And the subscribers, basically the plaintiffs in this case, are claiming that the NFL keeps pushing the premium price, all right, their premium price of their product, which is the DirecTV, which is your access to out-of-market games, and they make you buy the entire package of access to all those out-of-market games. And they're saying the NFL, by doing that, saying, oh no, you get access to all of the out-of-market games, when in reality, most people don't even want access to all of the out-of-market games. The NFL says they must make that package a premium price because they are the number one entertainment television product in America. So if you want access to all the out-of-market games, then you have to pay this top premium price for the Sunday Ticket, which is now YouTube, but you see DirecTV. And they said essentially the subscribers are claiming by making it the top premium price, making it extremely expensive, they are in a sense forcing a lot of NFL fans who don't want to pay that ridiculous price for the Sunday Ticket to watch whatever is offered on your in-market broadcast by your in-market broadcast network. So whatever Fox, CBS, and NBC, whatever they have over their broadcast networks that's in your market, you're forced to watch it. And most NFL fans will just watch whatever the NFL forces them to watch. And so they're accusing the NFL essentially as fixing this price at a premium price, which it gives them the chance to monopolize your entertainment options. And by doing this, they're violating antitrust laws because they are essentially monopolizing all, and they do have a monopoly on it, all the entertainment options. Now, what's happened recently is that the entertainment ecosystem has changed. So I think the case against the NFL is stronger because ESPN now is on the record By the way, ESPN, so a lot of stuff obviously on this trial is starting to come out because there's evidence being presented. And ESPN is claiming that they proposed when they were in negotiations to try to get the Sunday ticket, they proposed lowering the Sunday ticket's price to just $70. But the NFL reportedly shut it down. They also proposed single team packages. So you just want to buy the 49ers, you buy the 49ers. You want to buy the Packers, you buy the Packers. You get all the Packers games. You get all the I ain't got to buy all 30, 31, 32 teams, all 17 weeks. You ain't got to buy that. That they could make it a personalized, specialized kind of package just for you. And ESPN proposed that. NFL shut it down and said, nah, you're watering down our product, man. This is a premium product. We got premium product, so you got to charge premium pricing for our premium product. And ESPN was saying, well, we don't need to have it be a premium product. Let's just give the people what they want. They want personalized entertainment packages. They don't want your premium product. They want personalization. And NFL's like, no. Keep it premium. Apple TV reportedly also, like I said, based on the evidence in this trial, this comes from Pro Football Talk. They also, when they were bidding for the NFL Sunday ticket, they also wanted to buy it, buy the contract, get the contract, and they were going to make it a part of their subscription model. Like they basically going to, if you already had Apple TV, like I do, Apple Plus, they were just going to say, you get it automatically, but you just need to be subscribed to Apple TV or Apple TV Plus, whatever, and you'll automatically get it. And the NFL was like, oh, hell no. No. Because our product needs to be at a premium price. That's too cheap for our product. And so these different little, I think, bits of evidence are proving, or at least it's the argument at the NFL that they don't want to give cheaper or make cheaper personalized options available, even though now the technology does exist for them to be able to do that. I don't know if they could have done this when they first signed first awarded the Sunday ticket contract to DirecTV back in the day, but now they do have that ability, and the NFL is still rejecting it, saying nope, premium prices where we want to go. So the reason that you want the NFL to lose, and you're arguing, at least you want to, if you're an NFL fan like any of us watching NFL, it's good for you if the NFL loses this case, because if they lose this case, that'll mean they'll offer cheaper options and probably more personalized options for out-of-market games. And right now they don't, and they won't, because they have no need to. They can get the best potential deal from the broadcast networks because they force most of NFL fans, and football is the number one television product in America. So they force most NFL fans just watch whatever the hell NBC or CBS and Fox are going to present to you in your market. And that way they'll force those networks to pay top dollar because they know, hey man, I am giving you a built-in viewership. You know you're going to get this many ratings for these NFL games. Why? Because I'm forcing more than half of our fan base to watch those games in the market. So they can get top dollar from the broadcast networks and charge top dollar for their premium product on the Sunday ticket. And so they getting their cake and eat it too, which, hey, I ain't mad at the NFL for that. But now the jig is up potentially, because the belief is that with the new technology, the new entertainment ecosystem, that they can provide cheaper, more personalized options. And then now they're just refusing to do it because they're making way too much money with the old model. Sound familiar? Violating antitrust lawsuits. That's what they're doing. Violating antitrust laws. That's what they're doing. So they are, in my opinion, in the wrong. I just don't know if the jury will rule against the NFL. The NFL is wrong for this. The NFL can give you personalized options so you can watch just your team and buy your team, and that's it. You don't want to be buying 32 teams for 17 weeks. They don't want to do it because they're going to lose money that way, and they'll lose money on both ends. They'll lose money potentially with the Sunday ticket because you won't have to buy the bulk package anymore, and you can buy personalized packages that are cheaper. And they'll lose money with the TV networks because the TV networks will get smaller audiences All right, they'll get smaller audiences. The ratings will drop just a little bit because now people have a chance to watch their out of market games. They watch the teams they want to watch. So you won't be forced to watch all the in-market games all the time. Now, will the ratings dip to the point where the NFL won't be king of entertainment anymore? Hell no. The NFL, guys, when you look at the top 100 most viewed television programs in America, the NFL, I'm not joking, it's like 88 of the most watched programs in America for last year were NFL games. Like I want to say like 4 of them are 4 might be college football games, but it's our television viewership is dominated by NFL. And let's say it may go from 88 to 90 programs to 85 or 82. It's not going to drop off that significantly. The NFL is greedy though. NFL wants all that money. They want their cake and eat it too. So they may get it, they may not, who knows, but that's the gist of the lawsuit against the NFL. And if they lose, they could have to pay upwards of $21 billion. Class action lawsuits, triple the damages. They could end up at, I think they said the damages could be upwards of $7 billion if they lose, and then that would triple to $21 billion they have to pay to the plaintiffs of this class action lawsuit. So there you go. In a nutshell. By the way, the same judge that initially dismissed the case is presiding over it now. And even if the jury rules in the plaintiff's favor, the judge could still overrule it and basically declare like the I forgot the exact term, but it's a matter of law, and he could still overturn it and rule in the NFL's favor. This came from Pro Football Talk. He's a lawyer, so I trust what he says. But Judge Gutierrez is the judge who presided over the case, and right now he said, quote, "I'm struggling with the plaintiff's case." So he already don't like the plaintiff's case. He thinks it's a little bit shaky, and he's threatening to grant judgment as a matter of law. So even if the jury decides that they are going to rule in the plaintiff's favor, the judge can still grant judgment as a matter of law in favor of the NFL after the trial concludes. So Fix could be in anyway. Now, none of this may matter. The NFL probably already knows it, but the evidence that's coming out against the NFL, that's usually what matters, because the NFL is such a basically gargantuan influential machine in the sports billion-dollar industrial complex that they rarely lose these types of cases in court. They just don't. They have too much influence. They can, they really can't grease the right palms. And, everybody's got lobbying groups. NFL's got lobbying groups too that are making moves on Capitol Hill. So they usually don't necessarily lose these types of cases. We know that. But the evidence that is revealed in these cases, which is why they didn't want to go to trial over Colin Kaepernick. It's like, no, we'll settle with you, man, because they're gonna win that case. You can't prove collusion against the NFL, but the evidence that could come out during the case, the court of public opinion will make up their own mind about what the NFL is doing, and this ultimately could hurt the NFL in the court of public opinion, because people will realize, so the NFL they're just out, they're basically just trying to hustle us with the way that they handle the Sunday Ticket, and people will just stop subscribing to the Sunday Ticket, period. And now it's YouTube TV, but people may decide, you know what, I'm tired of getting hustled by the NFL. I'm done. They could offer me team by team options. They don't want to do it because they think I'm a sucker, and I ain't a sucker in the NFL. So they could get that kind of blowback.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's the, you're asking me to buy this team that I got to spend all this money to get all these teams when my team is going to be like, especially if you're a Cowboys fan somewhere else, you go, like, I get like 10 games on TV a year anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, so your team's always on.
So I want to see them when they're not, but also that means I have to spend this. Plus, I don't get the Sunday Ticket games of ESPN games. I don't get them so I still have to pay for ESPN. I still have to pay for Netflix now. I still have to pay for
Hulu games and Peacock and
the
all
Peacock
that,
game. Yeah. So like, if you're trying to you're like, I have to now have multiple subscription services to be able to get all of the games if I want to watch all of them. Even if I want to watch my team, if I'm a Texans fan, I still have to get like ESPN. I still have to get NFL Network. I still have to get Amazon Prime. I still have to get, you still have to get all of these different networks, it costs a lot of money to be an NFL fan anyway. So Sunday Ticket is a cost that it seems prohibitive at a certain point.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about it. The NFL's getting even more money. You just brought up on the streaming deals. They got these streaming deals now for Thursday Night Football and for just Peacock for holiday games and Christmas games, stuff like that, where now they have these exclusive contracts and they're making money hand over fist. And those contracts for those particular games actually are making the broadcast networks contracts more expensive because they're paying more for 1 and 2 games. Peacock is they're paying more for 1 or 2 games than the overall contract. If you look at the contract game by game prices for what NBC or CBS or Fox would pay. So the NFL is looking at that, and then they're going to rework those television contracts as soon as they can. And they're going to value the games at what Peacock is paying to stream them, and which is a really overinflated price, but or whatever the streaming platform that's paying for it, they are paying top dollar. They're paying the max you can pay for a game, and essentially the broadcast networks are getting a bit of a discount. And the NFL is about to change that. They're about, I guarantee you, they're about to start valuing those games at what is being paid for the Thursday night games and a couple of games on Peacock that are being streamed. That's now the new value of an NFL game, and that is going to balloon those contracts. It's going to be crazy. And this is one of the things that could really slow down the NFL from getting max dollar for all of their products. And now wherever they are, whether in terms of on a broadcast network or a streaming or a Sunday ticket, they're basically just trying to make you pay maximum prices for everything. And they can do it because who's going to question the NFL? Who's going to stop them? And that's what this lawsuit is trying to stop the NFL from just monopolizing your entertainment options when it comes to football. All right. Speaking of entertainment options, the draft is right around the corner. We played this earlier, but I want to play it now because I want to hit this now. This Bronny James story. They were doing on NBA Today. They were doing a mock draft. And they started to talk about Bronny James and where he's going to go. Probably no surprise to people. But then there was a nice little nugget that was dropped by, I think, it's Jonathan Giovanni, who is a draft express in the NBA. And listen to what they had to say on NBA Today about the draft status of one Bronny James.
I don't think it's going to surprise anybody that we have him 55th to the Lakers. This has been...
I mean, that's a big deal.
This is the way that it's been trending for years now. NBA teams that I talk to say they cannot get Bronny James into their building. Mm-hmm. Teams that are drafting in the late 20s and the 30s. The Phoenix Suns have a second workout scheduled with Bronny later this week. But other than that, we have not seen any NBA team be able to work him out. The sense among teams is that his agent, Rich Paul, does not want him on a two-way contract. And the range that he's going to be picked, that 40 to 58 range, those are where two-way contracts are handed out. So it's looking right now like Bronny James is going to slide there to 55. I don't think any NBA team wants to, pick him and deal with the repercussions of that. So that's the way it's trending as of today.
All right, Patrick, we talked about this earlier, but so is this essentially Bronny James telling teams, don't draft me?
I mean, this is the James camp. I don't think Bronny James has a lot of say in a lot of this. I think this is kind of stuff that Rich Paul. Well, because LeBron James doesn't have to say it. Rich Paul can say it as his agent, which is, we're getting you the most money. We're going to get you the best situation. Do you want to play in the G League and ride on buses? No. Well, then let me work what I do, and I'll get you on a contract, which means you're going to be on the jet. You'll be in the charter. You'll be, riding with the team, and you'll be part of the NBA team. You'll probably never see a minute of playing time in the NBA. And if you do, you'll be a human victory cigar. You'll be the one that comes in at the end of the game. It'll hurt your career more than if you went to the G League, but we don't care about that. We want the money right now, and we're going to pretend that you're going to be good enough, and you will figure it out. Like, there's something to be said about trying to do something so proactive to make sure he's taken care of. And if you put him on the Lakers and LeBron retires in a year, I mean, it was career less than a year, then he's out of the league. And then maybe a G League team if he wants to come back. But there's a certain factor into it of, do you want playing time to get better? You're not staying in college. You're not going to play. You're not good enough to play in the NBA right now.
NBA yet.
Like, you're just not. And I mean, not a lot of rookies are. So it's not even a shot of whatever, but a second round pick that is a questionable second round pick in a weak draft is usually not going to be good enough to get 5 to 10 minutes a game. And if that's what they want, then he can't, then go to the G League and then you can play and you'll get more playing time. But if you don't want to be on that two-way contract because you don't want to be going up and down, that's going to be the problem. Then you're just going to be hanging out with your dad on the bench at Lakers games. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's where they'll end up. But I mean, and if I'm the Lakers, I'm a little skeptical too. I don't really want to keep him on I don't want to have him on my roster all season. Like, we need as much help as we can get.
Yeah.
We need to find some other players. We need to try guys out. We can't give a roster spot away for your buddy who happens to be your son, but it's just another spot that there's, I know you want him to be able to play and get better, but he's not going to get playing time. So it's a questionable decision of, I know you don't want him on a two-way contract, but if you don't, how is he going to get playing time in the NBA? Now it makes sense that he doesn't want to go try out. He doesn't want to be on a team that is only drafting him to get LeBron to come over. And if they don't draft him, he's basically going to be sent away and they don't care because, a lot of second round picks. It's one of those reasons why you tell people to go back to college is that a second round pick in the NBA is you better earn it on your own. The team is probably not going to help you make it.
Yeah.
The coaches aren't going to care as much. The GM's not going to care as much. No one says you missed that second round pick. That's not a thing in the NBA where that's a really bust of a second round pick. Yeah. So it's on you to make it at that point. You have to go down to the G League. You have to be able to, earn your own way up there and earn your own way onto the roster. But for Bronny James, I think there's somewhat of a positive to it of, yes, you may get in, you may get the contract, you may be able to get on to, be able to practice with these guys. But what happens when you show up at practice day one and you turn the ball over 14 times in practice and you just can't score and there's nothing you can really do when all that happens in practice 1 and 2? What happens when you go to summer league and you are not one of the top players at summer league and you're just an okay defender at summer league? Is there a point where you realize, oh no, we've done everything to have this myth that I'm going to be this really good player, but I'm not going to be because I need to work, and maybe I will be down the road, but I'm just not ready yet. I'm also shorter than they said I need to be. It's a real problem because if you're under 6'3" in the NBA, you better be elite, or it's going to be hard to stay in the league. And that's where they're going to press him. People are going to go after him. The same thing you see. Caitlin Clark's amazing, and they're going after her. You don't think people are going to go after Bronny?
Oh, man, no doubt.
You know how hard I had to work to get here? And you got gifted this?
Yeah.
Players are going to go after him too. And every time he gets on the field, someone's going to try and steal the ball from him and get him right back on that bench. Mm-hmm. The same way they go after Giannis on the Bucks. They know he shouldn't be in the game. And so they'll go and try and steal the ball from him right away because they know they can't. So it's going to be an interesting experiment because as much as you're trying to play the game one way, you have to ask, is this the best way for Bronny? Or do you realize he's got no shot in the NBA anyway? So let's just do this and
let's get him a check.
Let's get him paid. And let's see what we can do. And then we'll hope Bryce James, that'll be a different story. So it's interesting.
It is. Like, right. It's drama. And I guess it'll be good for the ratings of the draft. As you pointed out, they will have the second round of the draft is on another day. Separately, but you're right. That's a great point about whether this is the best for Bronny James. He probably just needs to be. The G League seems like the perfect situation for him.
Yeah, a two-way contract. If you play really well, they can call you back up, and you go up and down. And
at least you get to work your craft.
You get to play, man. Playing time's so important in basketball. It's just really, really important. It's important in every sport. You just want to get some playing time and get reps. And I mean, I don't know what roster he's going to get playing time on.
Yep. No, that's a great point, man. You would think that with LeBron, like getting his son paid is great, but money should matter that much. Getting him paid, maybe just the achievement of, hey, I made an NBA roster.
I was drafted, but again,
I was drafted.
But that's like it's a lot of short-sighted things, and I've dealt with a lot of people that, man, I just want to achieve this. Like, really, do you not think you're better than that? See, if you don't think you're better than that, then why am I wasting my time helping you out and doing everything? If you think you're good enough, then I'll work with you and we can try and make you great. But if you just think, nah, I'm not that great. So if you just get me drafted and then I'll have this fake award that I only got that because my dad's LeBron James, and what's the point?
Yeah.
It's like if you think you're great, and I can't imagine that a James thinks he's not great, it seems like, no, go prove it. Go tell your dad. Don't hey, drop Rich Paul's in it. I don't care. Draft me if you want to draft me. I'll go work out for every team. I'll go prove that I belong in the league. I'd go do that before I would. And now, if I don't believe it, if I just think, man, just get me in there, I don't want to ride it.
I'll be lucky to make it. Yeah.
And let's put it this way: if he doesn't want to ride on a bus, have fun in LA for 2 years.
Can do that anyway, though.
He won't be on the jet. He won't be on the
but it's like you're Bronny James. But you're right. Good point about that. I mean, that she just doesn't like the lifestyle of the grind of the G League life. And that's something he doesn't want to live.
What's Sark say? Sacrifice versus investment.
Mm-hmm.
Invest
in yourself. Yeah. Invest in yourself and bet on yourself anytime you can. No, good stuff there, Patrick. All right, we come back. We'll go behind the burnt orange curtain. We'll talk a little Texas secondary pro football focus, showing some love to the Texas DBs. Should we show them some more love? We'll also talk about the tight end position on the 40 acres. We don't talk about it enough. What will it mean for the Texas offense to have this tight end position now without JT Sanders, with Gunnar Helm, and with Anari Knoblack? We'll talk about that coming up right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers coming back on the horn.
Hey, what's up about our friends at Texan Windows? They're your new and replacement window experts in Central Texas. You can discover affordable windows and sliding glass doors. If you are looking to up the curb appeal of your home this summer, maybe get some new colors on your windows to fit your theme of your home and what you've got decorated inside, you can do that. Maybe you want to change the operation of a window. You got a window that you want to be able to open up and let some air in, or maybe you just want a big picture window. All that, it can be done by checking out Texan Windows, but it's not just about the looks.
Oh, yes. The looks are great. It's another great reason to get brand new windows from Texan Windows. But if you're like me, you're a baller on a budget. I love to save money any way I can. And all the new windows, the replacement windows from Texan Windows, they can help with energy efficiency because all their windows come with argon filled double pane low E glass. That's a really fancy way of saying that it'll keep your house really cool during those hot Texas summer days. Those triple digits are fast approaching. It'll also keep your house warm during those winter months as well. So if you want to save money on your annual energy bills, you need to reach out to my friends over at Texan Windows. But in addition to the money you'll save, you'll also be able to safeguard the most important things in your life, your family, and your home. I got an 8-month-old in the house now, and we're thinking about with childproof and everything in the house, including the windows. And that can be tough if you have older windows. That's where Texan Windows come in. They have all of the latest safety protocols and a lot of the latest safety technology when it comes to childproofing your windows and personalizing your windows. So not only can you protect your biggest investment, which is your home, with brand new windows from Texan Windows, but you also can protect the most precious things in your life, which are your loved ones. So if you want new windows and all of these built-in advantages, you can reach out to our friends at Texan Windows, and Patrick will let you know exactly how you can do it.
You can hit him up at TexanWindows.com or call 855-55 Texan, 855-55 Texan to get a hassle-free estimate by email or over the phone. Or you can stop by the showroom in Buda or Fort Worth to check out their in-stock windows. And the time has never been better to go check them out because now through the month of June through July 4th, when you make the purchase of 10 replacement windows, you're eligible to receive a free Blackstone grill. So you can get your grill on and a great new deal on windows at Texan Windows. It's TexanWindows.com. Texan Windows, your Central Texas window experts.
All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get into some Texas football conversation. Go behind the burnt orange curtain. I saw yesterday that the folks over at Pro Football Focus, they showed some love to the Texas cornerbacks because they had their highest graded returning SEC cornerbacks, and the list of them included 3 Texas cornerbacks on this list. Now, I said this before. There's a great comparison I can make here because Pro Football Focus also, so they're doing this for every major conference. They did it for the Big Ten too. So the top corner, based on the Pro Football Focus grades, returning corners for the SEC is Javion Cole, the Texas transfer from San Jose State. He's the highest graded returning SEC cornerback. Then there's Mark Davis Jr. from Vanderbilt. Then Maxwell Hairston, 81.8 grade from Kentucky. Javion Cole, highest grade, 86.2. Mark Davis Jr. is 83.9. Then there's Marlon Jones Jr. He's 4th from Vanderbilt as well, 79.4. And then 2 Texas cornerbacks, Gavin Holmes, 78.6, Malik Muhammad, 78.5. So some people automatically jump to the conclusion, oh man, he's the best corner. They got him as the best corner in the SEC. No, not really. They just have him as the highest graded cornerback last season against relative to the competition he was going up against, and he was at San Jose State. Now, he was really consistent in their grading model and their algorithm, play to play. They had him graded really high, 86.2, and that's really good. But that means he was really consistent going up against that level of competition. That is not necessarily translated to the SEC. Now, for Gavin Holmes, that grade, that was in the Big 12, so that is good that, you had him at a high level of competition graded as a guy that was consistent enough to be one of the highest graded cornerbacks coming back in the SEC. Doesn't mean you're the best cornerback in the SEC. They did the Big Ten, and they had Will Johnson at 78.9, and I believe that put him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That put him 12th. Yeah. In their highest graded cornerbacks. Will Johnson's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. He is, by scouts projections, the best cornerback in college football right now. Has been for the last 2 years. They say he'd have been a top 10 pick at cornerback if he came out in the draft last year. And yet they have Sebastian Castro as the highest graded returning Big Ten cornerback with a 91.2 grade. So it's, they have Amir Hall, who is the other Michigan cornerback. He is the 5th highest graded returning Big Ten cornerback at 85.7. They got Will Johnson at 78.9. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, and depending on how you want to do it. I love Pro Football Focus. I think it's a really good tool. I think they do really good work, but there are some parts of their algorithm and formula that I don't know if it always translates to ranking the best players and determining the best players, but it is really good insight into skill sets and in terms of how data science can separate different data points in evaluation. And they do a really good job of that. So, but just throwing it out there. So don't be, oh man, Javion Cole's the best cornerback in the SEC. That's not what they're saying. I do think he's going to be really good. I have said this before. I think he right now might be your best off coverage cornerback. And that even includes Malik Muhammad. He's really good in off coverage because he's disciplined in reading his keys with his eyes, where he's going from the 3-step to number 2 to number 1, where he's going from number 2 to number 1 and back to the quarterback. He's really disciplined in reading his keys. Most people talk about a quarterback's progression read. Everybody's got a progression read in football because it's your keys that you're reading. And it's the progression of going through your keys 1 through 3 or whatever they may be. So everybody's got a progression. Quarterbacks just get more attention. So he's just really good at going through his DB progression in his keys. And like Coach Akil would always say, your feet go where your eyes go. He's always in the right place. He's a ball hawk too. I think that's natural. I always say you got to recruit what you can't coach. Can't coach speed. Can't coach coverage. Can't coach ball hawk ability. And he's got that. So he thinks ball first, but he's in the right place because his eyes are in the right place. Your eyes go where your feet go. Or your feet go where your eyes go, I should say. And his feet are in the right place because his eyes are so disciplined. So I think for him, one of the things that I love about his game, I think that helps him playing off coverage because his eyes are in the right place. And so that aligns with his footwork, and he's really good at cutting off receivers, uh, their angles and trajectories and their route, their paths on their route. He's really good at cutting them off and getting to the upfield shoulder. That's all off coverage. And as I've been telling you guys here on the show for a while, Texas wants to play more bump and run. They played more bump and run last year in the last 3 games of the season. And they were more successful in taking away the short, quick game and the inside breaking routes and the targets to bunch formation and some of the very troublesome concepts that had been effective and exposed at Texas secondary throughout the year. So they took that away. And I don't know if they were doing that because they just didn't fear the receivers from Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. I tend to think it was not a matchup based. This is something that Texas wanted to do more of, because if it was matchup based, then why the hell would you be pressing the Washington receivers more? Because those guys they should have struck the fear of God in you. And because they had multiple NFL receivers. So I think it was more about a tendency that Texas wants to start moving toward, which is playing more bump and run coverage, take away the quick game, take away the underneath routes, take away the RPO tags, and force teams to have to beat you by holding on to the football, getting deeper into a progression, throwing vertically downfield, then give your pass rush, your edge rushers a chance to get there. But the problem with that was last year they took away, like I said, some of the easy completions. But what really hurt them was the deep ball in those last 2 games. Now, Tech couldn't do a damn thing. Tech didn't hurt Texas with deep ball, but Oklahoma State did. Washington, of course, did. So the only thing you need to make sure you guard against, or at least you have that you work on fundamentally, is the panic plan you have when teams inevitably test you deep when you try to play more bump and run coverage with Texas. If they play more bump and run, then you're going to get what Oklahoma State did. You're going to get what Washington did. They're going to take you up top. And if you can stop them from, converting those deep shots down the field when you're playing bump and run coverage, then we're talking about having something special. So Texas is going to play still. They're major in match quarters. That's their bread and butter. That's a man zone cover 4 concept. And then I think Johnny Nance is going to bring in some cover 3 because Arizona played more cover 3 than anybody else in the Power 5. They were at a top 3 rate. Texas played match quarters at a top 5 rate in the Power 5. So those are going to be 2 of their, I think, bread and butters, things they're going to major in. The zone coverages they'll major in, playing a lot of off coverage. But I do think when they want to play press, that may end up determining who wins that cornerback job opposite of Malik Muhammad. Malik Muhammad is great. He's your best coverage defender. I think he got the second best coverage grade for Pro Football Focus in the Big 12 last season out of their Big 12 corners. I mean, so he's legit. He's the real deal. The question will be opposite him, and they'll have him playing a lot of press because I do believe he's a press coverage specialist. So you want, Malik Muhammad playing press. I think that's what he's good at. Opposite him, when they want to play press, that may determine who wins that job. Because if they do, then I don't know how proficient Javion Cole is at playing press. Gavin Holmes can play some press, but even we saw in the spring game, Texas playing press, what they do, they beat him up top. They beat him over the top. So Malik Muhammad, I trust him playing press coverage. I'm not sure about Gavin Holmes, and I'm not sure about Javion Cole. I just don't know about Javion Cole. Gavin Holmes is he's capable. I don't know if he's necessarily competent in playing it all the time. He can do it, but I don't know if necessarily he can do it effectively, consistently. But that's I think that may determine who wins that job between Javion Cole and between Gavin Holmes. All right. We come back. We'll get into a little off the record on the other side. Stories from the sports world and beyond right here on the Rodcast featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to get to a little off the record here. A couple of stories. Man, can we admit that Kansas City Chiefs, it's so weird. It's like when you become a dynasty, and I guess it's just because, you're in the headlines so much. If you're a dynasty and you've been at the top of the mountain for, 3-4 years, and I just think at that point, the frailty starts to show.
Yeah.
The cracks start to show. I think every organization, every program has to deal with that because it's made up of humans, and humans are fallible. And we make mistakes, and so the organization is going to be flawed. And you start to see those flaws the longer an organization is exposed, and you're exposed like that, and everybody's paying attention to you when you are on a dynastic run. Happened to the Patriots, right? We learned all the cracks about the in that armor of the Patriots, right? They had not only you had guys going to jail, and obviously the murderer Aaron Hernandez, but you had multiple cheating scandals, and you had players who got in trouble, and then there was a talk about Belichick and Brady and how they were butting heads, and the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff. That was just a lot. There was a lot in the Patriots dynasty. Same thing with the Cowboys dynasty, right? And it's rare. Even the Spurs, who are the classiest organization arguably in sports, even they had some scandals and stuff that came out during their time. Because you can't help it. They're human beings in an organization, and human beings make mistakes. And then you have been on top of the mountain for so long, everybody's just staring at you. Everybody's watching you the whole time. And even the Spurs, you had the Tony Parker, and y'all get the point, right? It happens to every organization. And right now we're watching it happen with the Chiefs.
Oh, man, it is twice a week now.
Yeah, exactly. This it's happening with the Chiefs now, guys. So here's the offseason for the Chiefs so far. You had the Rashee Rice arrested for the hit and run thing, now facing 8 felonies. A couple of weeks later, remember he had the alleged situation where he punched a photographer. Like, what the hell's happening with Rashee Rice? So he now facing multiple civil lawsuits. Harrison Butker gave a very controversial speech about being a real Catholic, and got people all up in arms about that. People called him a sexist and called him misogynist for that kind of stuff. You had Xavier Worthy's car get stolen. He was their first round pick. Remember his car got stolen?
I remember.
We didn't really talk about that. As soon as he moved to KC, they stole his damn car. 2 of the team's offensive linemen, they got arrested for marijuana possession up there as well. Isaiah Buggs, a defensive lineman of them, he was arrested on 2 charges of animal cruelty after he allegedly did not give his dogs food or water for a week. Twisted SOB. Buggs also was arrested again on charges of 2nd-degree domestic violence. He probably is going to be cut from the team if he's not already cut. Defensive lineman BJ Thompson, remember he had a heart attack in the team meetings. Butker was the one that had to alert the team trainers that he was having a heart attack, because I think it was a special teams meeting. And now did you hear about the issue with Arrowhead Stadium?
Well, they want to move,
Yes, it's basically now a bidding war between Kansas and Missouri.
Yes.
For who wants the Kansas City Chiefs the most. That's what it's come down to. Recently, Dave Diamarco, he is an Emmy Award-winning reporter for Fox 4 in Kansas City, and he reported, he said, attorney representing Chiefs speaking to Kansas legislators, encouraging them to revamp star bonds for the stadium projects. Quote, Missouri spoke, Jackson County spoke, they had their opportunity. Sounds like fighting words, like they had their opportunity.
Yes.
And now Missouri is going to have to beat a multi-billion-dollar offer from Kansas. Even if they get a chance to counter, well, they may not get a chance to counter. Now, Hunt, the owner, claims that they will get a chance to counter. Matter of fact, he said that at the Super Bowl parade they had. He said at the time, he said the team has been in contact with both sides of the state line, though it's very early. We've had conversations on both sides, but I would say at this point it's premature, but they're at the beginning stage. So he's been talking to both sides, and right now I feel like Kansas is winning this thing.
Yeah, that's we're leaving off the fact that the player poll had him as the worst owner in football in the NFL.
Also true.
That was part of it as well, that he is not liked by his team, by his city, by at least one state
Sure, legislators and politicians. Yeah, who know? Yeah, that's a great point. His own damn team decided, and that's how good the Chiefs are. They're winning in spite of basically, in their own opinion, having the worst owner in the league.
Yeah,
that's how they still winning.
And then Patrick Mahomes' dad got arrested.
Oh, they need to put that on there. The dad thing. Yeah, I forgot about the dad being arrested.
It's not been a great offseason for them.
No. That's why it's time for their dynasty. Get your third one, and then this dynasty needs to end. Because this is what happens after. It's only going to be. Now, I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes is never going to win another title. No, he'll win, but somebody's got to interrupt this dynasty and disrupt it. Somebody's got to win one, and then kind of start over and do something again. Because you almost end up, it's a gift and a curse when you become a dynasty, because we haven't seen one yet where really they're not exposed in terms of the frailty, like I said, and their weaknesses, and just the human depravity at times. We're talking about the Lakers or anybody. I mean, do we have a dynasty where they weren't exposed in some way? Maybe the Celtics. Celtics has said no.
Really?
Really? The community.
There's more about the community. The
Celtics. I don't know. I'm just asking. Like but it doesn't always happen. There are exceptions to every rule, but usually, if you're on top for that long with everybody watching you, they're going to find them flaws. They're going to find them. Yeah. And it's happening right now with Kansas City. Dude, crazy.
It is piling up over there.
It's happening so fast, too. And it's like, dude, come on. But we started to see it a couple of years ago. So remember Andy Reid's son?
Yep.
That was that incident. I think he's out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he got a deal or something with that.
He got a deal or something like that. Yeah, I haven't checked on the details. But we started to see it a little bit there. And that kind of went under the radar. And that was right before the Super Bowl, wasn't it? That was like in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was in the playoffs, I think.
It was like, I want to say, matter of fact, it was the Bucks Super Bowl because they lost. And I remember thinking to myself, the offensive line was hurt. And then I think that was a bigger distraction than we may have given it credit for. Because think about it, your son is going to jail for, vehicular homicide or whatever it is.
Not good.
Manslaughter. Like, that was tough. Anyway, all right, there you go. So that the Kansas City Chiefs, once again, they need to win. They get this three-peat over with, so they can now get their house in order because the things are wild.
That depends where the house gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know where the house is gonna be. Now, by the way, losing the Kansas City Chiefs, that would be, man. If Missouri does that, that's terrible because they're gonna win more championships. You can lose in.
No, I mean what really sucks is, all those people that lost fingers and toes during going to that playoff game and got frostbite.
Did they have a shooting out there too? Did they have a shooting at the
during the parade? Yeah.
I forgot about that too. That's not their fault, but that's just still like more crazy stuff happening right there. So anyway, wild times to be a Kansas City Chief. All right, we come back. We'll get into some NFL news, notes, and nuggets. I want to talk a little Cowboys. We'll talk a little Texans. DeMarvin Overshown. He had something to say about the coaching style of Mike Zimmer compared to Dan Quinn. I don't think he's dissing Dan Quinn. I'll explain that. Rico Dowdle should probably be your lead running back in your running back by committee, not Zeke. We'll talk about that. How special is CJ Stroud, and what do the new weapons for the Texans, what do they tell us about how the Texans are going to use them and what personnel groupings the Texans are going to use? I think we may have a hint from Nick Casario's past. We'll throw that out there. Also, we got Raj Rant that we'll get into a little bit later on. That's NFL related too. We'll throw that out there. I want to talk about tight ends, so we can do that as well. And we got my man Nick Shuley coming on, Setlist ATX. He'll tell you what all the best musical acts in town will be playing, so you can be in the know. All of that and more right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. It is a One Artist Wednesday. That's when the Idillionaire Patrick Davis, he goes deep down the rabbit hole, the catalog of one specific artist or group or band. And today that group or band is the Commodores. And he's only playing the Commodores jams and bangers from the Lionel Richie years because essentially it was inspired by Lionel Richie's birthday, which is coming up later on this month.
But other than All Night Long, I don't think there was anything else that's decent bumper music. Everything else is like a slow jam. Like you can't do Hello coming back.
Hello.
The creepiest music. It's up there in creepy music videos. Never watched that. It's up there in creepy music videos.
Is he basically admitting he's a stalker in that video?
I don't. It's because what's weird is clearly he's not a stalker because he like appears in her house at a point. So it's not. Well, he's not saying I'm not there.
Stalker.
He's not saying I'm there. It's more that he is a professor hitting on a student. That's also the creepy part. So it's kind of stalkerish, and then it's also a professor hitting on a student, and then the hilarious bust at the end of it is the best when she makes like the bust of him, and he's.
Oh yeah, I see. I can see it. The white is white, right?
Yeah, she made like out of clay. Yeah,
white. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I actually still see it in my head. It was that creepy. It kind of stood out. Yeah, no, it was back then. I don't know for some reason. This was the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Something about the 80s where stalking was like acceptable, like stalking and doing stuff like that. Like there's a lot of that in pop culture and
music videos where guys were just constantly singing right around women. It was
very weird, creepy. Yes, yeah. Kind of.
It's like Tonight's the Night from Rod Stewart or Into the Night by Benny Mardones, which is super creepy.
Yeah, there you go. So it was like a thing. It was like I don't know. It seemed like a motif, if you will.
Yeah.
Of the 80s and stuff like that. But anyway, these days you cyber stalk. Don't be stalking anybody. Even cyber stalking is bad, but it's safer than actually stalking somebody. That's the beauty. Yeah, exactly. It's only a like, and then you do it weird times of the night when nobody's watching you, observing you, or judging you. So that is a safer alternative, people. All right, my man Nick Shuley, he's coming up a little bit later on here in this segment. We'll get to Setlist ATX right after we get to the Horn headlines. But we gotta, you know what? We're gonna interrupt Rod's rant. We'll do a little NBA related Rod's rant because there's an NBA story that we have to get to that I think is relevant. I want to get Patrick's thoughts about it. So Rod's rant might be that, but we got some NFL topics we'll get to as well. I want to talk some Cowboys, want to talk some Texans. We'll dive into those topics, but first we'll get to the Horn headlines. Then we'll get to my man Nick Shuley. First, big topic for the Big Fat Poll of the day as well. That's already up at the X account at Horn ATX. Patrick, let people know what the topic is for the Big Fat Poll of the day.
Big Fat Poll of the day today, excluding CeeDee Lamb, who is the best wide receiver in the 2025 free agency class. Some of the names: Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, and Zay Jones, all part of that 2025 free agency class. Some of those may get signed. We didn't put CD in it because we put CD in. He's clearly the top guy in that class. But we put out of the rest of them, who is there? Stephon Diggs now leading in the poll. He is now taking over.
I'm okay. That was my initial pick with Stephon Diggs. So I'm glad now. Well, you know what? It might just be popularity too because he's the latest new Texan.
He's the newest Texan, but I love it. It's the Texans fans rooting for Diggs. Cowboys fans, I believe, rooting against Amari Cooper and voting against Amari Cooper.
They're upset. I guess. I mean, remember that they traded Amari Cooper. They said it was more than just production on the field; that it was some other stuff at play there, not just a contract.
That's what they've always said, and none of it has ever come out. But that's from the Raiders too. Everywhere it says that he is not, and then every report is that he's a class act, and that no one has anything bad to say about him. But every team's like, we got to get rid of this guy. He's a real problem in the locker room. What did he do? Shows up on time, works hard. Oh, I can't have that.
That might be, you're right. You might be talking about kind of the MO of the Cowboys when it comes to contract negotiations. Put out a little dirt about it. You know what's happening? It's happening to Micah right now. I'm not saying that they're doing it, but remember the stuff about Micah and him not being a team player, not being a leader, not inviting players out. It happens to a lot of Cowboys players around.
And to be fair, the Cowboys just have to let the media cycle take it because the media cycle will talk about the Cowboys at anything. So all you have to do is go. So I heard Micah was 3 seconds late to a team meeting. Well, probably the worst player ever in the history of mankind now.
Selfish. He's just selfish. Most selfish player on the team. All right, let's get to the Horn headlines here. Let's get updated, educated, and informed on all the top stories of the day. Then we'll get to my man Nick Shuley and get to the set list ATX. But first, Patrick Davis and the Horn headlines.
All right, your Horn headlines brought to you by Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Willie Mays, passed away yesterday at the age of 93. In a 20-plus year career, the Say Hey Kid made 24 All-Star teams, won 2 NL MVP awards, won 12 Gold Gloves, ranked 6th all-time in home runs, 7th in runs, 12th in RBIs, and 13th in hits, among other amazing stats. He'll be remembered and honored at a game on Thursday at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, with the Giants facing the Cardinals. In Major League Baseball, the Astros dropped the first game of their series with the White Sox 2-0 yesterday. Astros were able to get 7 hits in the game, but could not string together hits with runners on board to get themselves on the board. Framber Valdez got through 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits, but 5 walks, allowed 2 runs to come across on ground balls. The Astros will now send Hunter Brown to the mound as they work to figure out the rotation a day after putting Justin Verlander on the 15-day IL. And the Rangers lost the Mets 7-6 after the bullpen could not maintain the lead, allowing 4 runs in the final 3 innings to fall behind 2-0 in the series. Josh Smith and Wyatt Langford added home runs to their season totals, but the Rangers scoring stopped after getting a 6-2 lead in the 5th. Were not able to get the hit against the Mets bullpen. Andrew Haney will get the start for the Rangers tonight to try and salvage a win in the series, and that is your Horn headlines.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for the Horn headlines. All right, let's not waste any time because he is a busy man, and we appreciate him joining us each and every Wednesday to hook us up with some of his musical knowledge. It's my man Nick Shuley for Setlist ATX. What's going on, Nick? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Rod?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Yeah, man, crazy time in sports with 3 legends passing away. Might have been since the last time we talked to you. Obviously, Bill Walton, Jerry West, and now Willie Mays. They said it happened in 3s. You got any thoughts about 3 legendary icons now no longer with us?
Well, I mean, first off, my dad always tells me when that starts happening, when your heroes, et cetera, start passing away, that means you're just getting old. And I believe that is true. But yeah, no, it's a sad day for some of the people that obviously all of them were a little before my time, but obviously their influence on the sport and the way people talked about him. Like, I got to meet Bill Walton a few times because when I worked in cycling,
cool.
he was a huge cyclist and a huge fan of cycling. He would just pop up on these like Tour of California or Tour of Colorados and just ride along with the race, and they would just put him up at the team hotel, and you would see him out by the pool just sunning himself, his 7-foot whatever frame, and just a really nice guy. Talked to everybody, took care of everybody, and so sad day. Yeah, it's just tough to see, it's just part of life, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt. No, man, in terms of the impact of all of those guys, it's great when you met one of those icons. That's always, because I actually interviewed Jerry West, and I consider it one of the highlights of my life and my professional career that I got a chance to interview Jerry West. It was actually at the Texas Bama national title game.
Oh, wow.
And
That's incredible.
And he stayed on for 2 segments. That's how I knew I wasn't annoying him. I thought, man, I'm annoying him. The first segment, it was like, can you stick around for another segment? I was like, there's no way he's sticking around. I've annoyed the hell out of him. He's like, sure, I'm having fun. I'm like, yes, Jerry West is having fun with us. This is amazing. Yes.
What are you doing after?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, now I'm gonna stalk you. Yeah. Hey, you want to change numbers here, man? Yeah. Anyway, so I was excited about that. All right, let's get right to it because I know, Nick, you got a busy day ahead of you. So let's get right to it. Set list ATX. We always start on Hump Day on Wednesday. So let the folks know exactly who's going to be in town and where all these great acts are playing.
Yeah, we're hitting the the heavy heat part of the year, and so it turns a lot more local at this part of the year, minus some of the bigger tours. So we get less of the touring acts, obviously with the festival season, et cetera, coming. Most of them won't be playing here, but you'll hear me say local a lot in this one. But there's a lot of really, really good local artists playing, so it kind of heats up in that sense. So good stuff. And
nice.
Started off at Hotel Vegas tonight. Mr. DZ Brown will be there, and he's one of my favorite rappers in Austin, and I can confirm he actually was a postman before he was a rapper.
Okay.
So that is
Whoa.
true. So yeah, I believe he had one of the West Austin routes.
Nice.
Yep. And another great local artist, Redbud. It's kind of indie music, will be at Mohawk. And then Kate Angel will be over at Far Out Lounge, but she is with this group called Swimming with Bears, who I really, really like. They're a really good kind of up and coming, radio rock band is how I would describe them. So get out and check that out. Hopefully the weather holds. And then on Thursday, there's a cool Waterloo Records in-store. Rob Baird, who I believe is the best songwriter in this town, he will have an in-store at Waterloo for free at 5 p.m., so get out and check that out. And then a really good local soul artist, Chief Cleopatra, will be doing a cool show at Still Austin Whiskey. And then one of the best old school Americana artists here, Cactus Lee, will be out at the Long Center. And I actually went to high school with Cactus Lee. Very random fact that I figured out later after I'd listened to him, didn't know who it was, and then found out it was, I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal his identity, but then found out it was a high school classmate.
Okay, knowing him, knowing what he's doing now, and from your time in high school, did you see this? Does it track?
100. He was a sophomore when I was a senior, and I thought he was like one of the coolest dudes. He was just one of those guys that like was frustratingly like everything he did was cool, and he just looked cool. He was cool. Maybe I had a little man crush. I don't know, but he's like super, super nice, humble human, and always dresses cool. Always had, and in every iteration of every group and artist he's done over the years is incredible. Like they are like, he's just such a talent. I cannot stress that enough. But he's one of those people that's just so understated that you'd never know it. You know what I mean? Like you're just dude, this dude is so talented. So anyway,
he got good style, man. There you go. No, you just recognize somebody's got good style. That's all. I like that.
Dude's cool. He's cool. I got a man crush. I admit it. And then a really good artist from the South who kind of have a rotating lineup. Drive By Truckers will be at ACL Live. And then a really good up-and-coming folk artist, CJ Sparks, will be at Antone's. And then on Friday, Rob Baird has his big CD release show at 3:10 at ACL Live. And he has this artist, Troy Cartwright from Nashville, opening, who has a really, really good podcast I like called 10-Year Town. And it's about making it in Nashville and kind of the way the industry works. And it's pretty fascinating. All us industry dorks really like this podcast.
Nice.
And then Strand of Oaks will bring their indie alternative rock to the parish. And then a really good Austin country artist, Bree Bagwell, who also actually has a great podcast. And she has one of my favorite podcast names. It's called Only Vans, which I think is pretty clever. Like and it's all about artists touring, et cetera. It's pretty good. And then big time country artist Aaron Watson will be over at Mavericks Dance Hall in Buda, Texas. And then, I actually have not, and I didn't know where it was. I had to look it up. So it's not too far from my house, though. And then Chief Cleopatra and Emerald Soul will be doing a show together, a really good Austin soul show. They're two of my favorite artists in Austin for soul music, and they'll be at Antone's. And then one of Austin's best guitarists, Paul Val, will be at the Continental Club.
I'll throw in, I know Tinted Vision's opening for Paul Val at Continental Club. They're an awesome young band. They're all tinted. Okay. Tinted Vision. They're a young band. They're all probably a year or two out of high school.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
And really good young band. So so the whole lineup, that'll be a nice nights.
Yeah, and Continental's great.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul's awesome. So,
and then Div will bring their Dream Pop to emos. And then on Saturday, I listened to this artist. I'd never heard of him. And I every once in a while, you find a new genre that you've never heard. And it's Louis the Singer is playing at Scoot In. And he is country R&B. And I have never heard those two genres together. And I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
Country,
it was
R&B.
It's like it's almost like soulful country. It's like a little more.
You know who does that? Honestly, Chris Stapleton.
That's what I was going to say. It's like
Chris
more.
Stapleton fuses R&B and country really well.
Agreed. He's got that voice, and it's but it's almost like a more commercialized version. It feels a little more almost like not hip hoppy, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
I'm just imagining
like pop, more like a pop.
Yeah.
Pop version.
See, I'm just more imagining like a really sensual song about a truck.
I mean, it's basically that. He's wearing a cowboy hat that says Texas country, and it probably is. I need to dig deeper. I was fascinated. I've never heard that genre, but I do agree. Stapleton.
Actually, now you got me interested a little bit too, because I love me some Chris Stapleton. If he comes anywhere close to that, then hey, I'm in.
It'd be like the more commercialized version of that. I think Stapleton's a little more, I don't want to say credible because I don't know anything about this guy, but but I mean Stapleton's been doing it for a long time.
He's a little bit more famous
and established, and written songs for everyone. And then Breathe Carolina, who are a huge kind of pop punk dance rock band in the 2010s, they'll be at Vulcan Gas Company. And then another local songwriting legend, Charlie Mars, will be at the Saxon Pub. And then blues punk rockers Ghost Wolves at the Continental Club. And then Stoney LaRue will bring his Texas country to Buck's backyard, another place in between Austin and Buda. And then the Party at the People's House will be on Saturday. And that is a huge concert from 6 to 10 at City Hall that has an art market and a lot of other things. And DZ Brown, our favorite mailman turned rapper, will be there as well. And then the Peterson Brothers and a lot of other really good artists. So that's kind of a cool deal. And then Sunday, this show is a huge deal, and I have a feeling this one will be pretty impossible to get into. But Shaky Graves, who is big time, one of the biggest artists in Austin, will be doing a show at the Hole in the Wall, which is super cool. That little spot on the drag that's given birth to a lot of really good musicians. So that's on Sunday. And then Monday, you got to get down to San Antonio for all you pop punkers. Blink 182 and Pierce the Veil will be doing a big show there at the Frost Bank Center. And then big time indie artists of Montreal on Tuesday at the Mohawk wraps up the week.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Nick, for the breakdown there, man. That's really cool. I appreciate you as always. I'll see you later on today, actually.
Yes, sir. I'm excited.
We're gonna record some Third and Longhorn. If you haven't checked out Third and Longhorns, our podcast we do with Nick and Derek John, legendary Lifetime Longhorn Derek Johnson, Alex Okafor, my man Fozzie Whitaker, Jeremy Hills. It is really cool. We always have a lot of fun when we're recording that today. But we always got a lot of great content out there for you already. So go check that out when you get a chance. And Nick, thank you for the time. As always, brother, we know you're a busy man. Take a vacation.
Still not there yet. Man. I think about you every week when I think about I need to get out of town.
I'm telling you. And I know you got a woman, right? You got a girlfriend
I do.
Like you've been with for a while. I know. Have y'all taken a vacation together? It's maybe too much intimate of a question.
Oh no, we definitely have, and there's definitely pressure from that side to take a vacation. So as you can imagine, it actually keeps ratcheting up, and I'm glad she does not listen to the show because this would just fuel her fire. So
exactly. I'll say, dude, because I know your lady's like, if you don't take vacation, that means she's not taking many vacations. All right. So thank you, Dick. We appreciate you, brother. One of the hardest working men that I know in the Austin area, brother. Thank you. And I'll see you later today.
Appreciate y'all. Y'all are the best.
All right, that's my man Nick Shuley. I believe he goes by that on all of his social media platforms. So on the gram and Twitter, you can just kind of reach out to him, Nick Shuley. All right, we come back. We'll get into Raj Rant. We got some NFL nuggets that we're going to share. We'll also talk a little bit of NBA with jam packs. We're going to throw as much into the next smorgasbord of a segment that we can right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Davis coming back on the horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn, Rod Babers here. Speaking of the traffic, right? Traffic in Austin seems to get worse every week, every year. But that's okay because some things you just got to deal with because the traffic is bad because people keep moving to Austin because it's one of the fastest growing cities in America. And as our city continues to grow and thrive, well, so do our friends over at Ironworkers Local Union 482. Many of the iconic landmarks we love in this city were created and built by the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local 482. They don't just go to the office; they're the one to build it. So if you driving by, or maybe you're in traffic right now by the Pennybacker Bridge or DKR Stadium, just one of the many iconic landmarks that were built by Ironworkers Local 482. You can be grateful for them for their hard work. And right now, they're constructing another big project right here in Central Texas, and they need your help. They're hiring over 3,000 people for a huge project right here in Central Texas, and they're offering competitive wages, competitive benefits, a pension plan. They even offer training for unskilled labor through their apprenticeship program. So if you're thinking about an exciting employment opportunity, or you want a refreshing career change, or maybe you want a new challenge, or you want to feel valued by your employer, you can become a valued member of this prestigious organization, Ironworkers Local Union 482, and you'll take pride in the type of teamwork and craftsmanship that help shape the future of our great city. So go online today and apply at ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. We'll have to get to that Madden story that my man Patrick has brought up in the break tomorrow because it's pretty funny. We talked about Madden. Is the Madden game officially out? They haven't even released all the ratings yet, have they?
No, it
some
can't
of
be
the
out. It gets close. It's closer to the season, I believe.
Some of the picks are leaking out of of just some of the players and some of their likenesses, and I don't know. It's pretty funny. Some of the, I guess I don't know who does the likeness and how close they are trying to get to the resemblance of the player, but I think they're failing miserably in a lot of those. So if those leaks are indeed the Madden photos, all right, let's get to Rod's rant first. I saw this and I was surprised. I had to make sure it was a real story, but it's the NBA, so it does track. Monty Williams has already been fired. From the Detroit Pistons. He was fired by the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I thought he took a leave from the Suns, or maybe he got fired and then he was gonna. I can't remember, but I know he was gonna take a year off to deal with his wife. I believe.
I do remember his wife. He was going to something. Yes, I do remember that. But I'm just reading from Joe Pompliano, so I'll blame him for it. He says May 2023 that basically he and the Suns parted ways. And then June 2023, he was hired by the Pistons, got a 6-year, $78.5 million deal. It was the largest coaching contract in NBA history at the time. And now in June of 2024, a year later, after signing the deal, he's been fired after just one season. But he secures a $65 million plus buyout. Guys, remember, when he was fired by the Suns, he got a $20 million buyout from them.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
They bought his contract out then, and now he's got a 60. So he's got $85 million of contract buyout after being fired after 2 seasons, guys. Damn. Good for you, Monty. But it does bring up this point about NBA coaches. And I've always said this. They are the Rodney Dangerfield of professional coaches. They get no respect at all. You were just talking about this the other day when you were talking about how long, it took Eric Spoelstra to get respect as a coach because all the credit goes to the players. And now you're talking about how there are other coaches now they're going to be dealing with the same type of thing. Joe Mazzulla potentially dealing with the same thing. So even in the community, sometimes it's hard to get respect. But I always say job security for NBA coaches is tough because you can winning, and we've seen this plenty of times. I'm sure you can name numerous examples. Winning doesn't necessarily give you job security in the NBA. You can win and still not have job security. You can win a title and not get job security. You can win coach of the year and doesn't guarantee you job security. You can sign the richest contract in the history of the league, and it does not guarantee you job security. There's one thing that guarantees you job security in the NBA. Does the superstar like you?
Yeah.
That's pretty much as close as you can get to job security, because we've seen numerous times, Patrick, guy win a lot of games, still fired. Guy won coach of the year, still fired. Richest contract in NBA history, fully guaranteed. Who cares? Still fired.
Still fired.
You're an NBA guy. What guarantees your job security in the NBA as a head coach?
No, I mean, it is. It's, unless you're in a franchise that you have a good relationship with ownership, and you have, like, Greg Popovich has been around forever. Spoelstra has Pat Riley, so he has a guy fighting in his corner. And so a lot of these coaches just don't have that person in their corner that, so basically you need management that is steady too. So you have to continue to have a owner that wants to have consistent management, because when management starts to change, now you have a new person that didn't hire you. And the first time someone walks in their door and says, well, that player didn't work out, he goes, well, he wasn't coached well enough. It's not my fault.
Didn't that happen with Detroit? Didn't he have a different guy?
So he did, but the reports are this came from ownership.
Oh, okay.
That ownership said that was awful. But this is also when you have places like this and teams like this who can't ever figure out why they're not working, and they just keep firing and hiring people, and you're like, well, that's why you're not working. Because there's no faith in anything that happens there. And if people don't believe that they have, that they're believed in, and if people don't believe that there's any hope for this franchise, they're not going to work as hard. They're not going to try. And so, there's just from the bottom up, it doesn't feel like anybody in Detroit really feels like there's hope and that there's an idea and a consistent game plan. So they're just struggling, and maybe they'll be able to find the next guy, but this does beg the question. Now, Monty Williams has been let go twice. He is a 2-time coach of the year as well. Yep. So he has been fired as many times as he has been coach of the year.
That's crazy.
Well, because Monty has always been a guy who is normally, and this was not the case in Detroit, but this is one of the reasons they hired him, was a guy that could take a okay team and make him really good, but he couldn't make him great. He couldn't win you the big one, was always his issue. Kind of a Doc Rivers kind of thing of, he can take a team and really build them up. For Detroit, though, I mean, it's Detroit. It's and they just don't have a ton of talent, and the talent they do, they drafted 2 guards that kind of play the same style, so they didn't draft like necessarily the best way to
constructed really well.
Yeah. So all of that's what it is, but this asks the question now. There's still a team looking for a head coach, and he's a player coach. Is there a world where they can get him because he's that they'll get him for cheaper, and he can come in
for cheap now because he got $80 million in the bank. He's just kicking. He don't need the money.
Those guys maybe fit along with him better, and he can come in and they'll like what he does, and it just adds in. If we're talking about the main 3 candidates right now that you will hear, or the main 2 candidates you hear about most of the Lakers, is James Borrego, who's a coach that was overseas. The Spurs brought him in as an assistant and, kind of went. And then he got hired, went to Charlotte, got hired from the Spurs to be the head coach. Charlotte coached here for a while, was okay. But again, Charlotte, one of those franchises, just doesn't have a great culture in it, doesn't have a great system, doesn't draft particularly well. They draft a lot of guys that they feel are upside of potential, but not necessarily team players always, not guys that are happy being role players, especially on teams where they think they need to be contributing more. Also this was the Michael Jordan era. We're now into a new era, so it may change some now. But all of that, he goes there, it doesn't work out, he's gone. But this is a guy who got fired from Charlotte, is one of your main options. And then JJ Redick, who has 0 coaching experience, who is 39 years old.
Yeah.
And a podcast host, good player, smart basketball mind, clearly, but no coaching experience. Or Monty Williams now is available as a coach who has coaching experience, who, has had really good rapport with players, especially sometimes older players of a different generation where there may be the age gap. So he may be able to work well with this Lakers team right now. But he is a guy that has come off 2 teams now that have decided that he's not good enough to get it done. It's curious to see if his name gets entered into it, or if he says, screw it, my mind's on the right place. That's why I wasn't working in Detroit too. I have other issues on my family life is not where it needs to be. So I do need to take some time off. The only reason I didn't was because I got an offer I couldn't refuse. And they pay me so much money. I tried to tell them no, and they offer me more money. So maybe I do need to take some time off. Maybe he won't be interested, but it'll be interesting to see if his name comes up in the conversation.
It should. I mean, why wouldn't it? When you said one of your main, at least the candidates now, is JJ Redick, who has no coaching experience at all, and another guy who just was recently fired. And I can say that, but he was recently fired. The NBA coaching culture, it's a very, very strange one. Very little job security for those coaches, but you do get the straight cash, homie. Ooh, yeah. $20 million buyout and then a $65 million buyout. Fire me all day, every day. I'll take that. I don't even. Man, why would Monty even want to coach? I guess he just loves the game, but he doesn't. But I guess you can go be assistant coach. You don't have to be a head coach if you don't want to. But
by the way, do you see Jeff Van Gundy is going to the Clippers? Going to the Clippers as an assistant coach. He's going back into coaching, so that's interesting. But and then but like we talk about coaches, Frank Vogel is always an example. Won a championship with the Lakers in 2020. Was fired in 2022. Gets hired in 2023 to go be the coach of the Suns, and has already been fired from the Suns.
Yeah.
So we won a championship in 2020. And has already been fired from 2 teams.
Like a championship doesn't even get you made status anymore.
Fired twice since winning a championship less than 5 years ago. It's crazy.
There's just no way another major pro sport has a head coaching culture like that. It's just it's very unique to the NBA. Because like I said, once you establish yourself as being successful in the NFL, it buys you some security. It buys you no security in the NBA. That title, that's crazy that you brought about Frank Vogel. It's unbelievable.
I will also throw one last point. This should tell you how little most teams care about paying coaches, and why the Dan Hurley offer was complete bogus.
Oh,
Just
great
another reason
point.
to tell you. They don't care.
Great point. Yes, you're right. Good point on that. Yeah, they just paid this dude the highest. He was the highest paid coach in the NBA history, and then the next year they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you all that money. Just leave."
Just leave. They could have bought him out after 2 or 3 years easily if they didn't like what Dan Hurley was doing, and they chose not to.
Yep. No, you're right. It's a good point. All right. Good stuff there from Patrick. All right. A couple of other topics here before we get to the break. Okay. So DeMarvin Overshawn was speaking to the media about Mike Zimmer's new defense and Mike Zimmer's coaching style. And he said something that some people are perceiving as a slight, him disrespecting or dissing Dan Quinn. I don't think that's the case. I just think he's talking about the difference in their coaching styles, and I'll explain it here in a second. But here's a quote. DeMarvin Overshawn said, quote, "I like Zim because he actually teaches us football. You feel it, and you get a good grasp of everything going on with the defense. You know what the safeties are doing and what the D-line are doing in front of you, and it's easy to click with everybody. I tell people all the time that I'm excited to play for him. I've seen who he's coached, the defenses he's been a part of, and they've all been special. When you get to play for a guy like this, you want to take everything that he says and write it down, make a mental note of it, because he's not telling you anything that's not going to make you a great player in this league." All right, so I think ultimately what it comes down to, because I've had coaches like this too. Coach Akina was a coach that wanted you to know the macro and wanted you to know the responsibilities of the players around you in that system. And I do think it helped my overall football IQ, but I've also had coaches that just want you to specialize. Coach Withers before him want you just to specialize in your specific expertise, your isolated pocket of execution, whatever that may be. They want you just to focus on that. And I think it's all about the coaching style and the different styles. And I do think for Dan Quinn, think about Dan Quinn's, the objective of his defense was different than Zimmer's, the objective of a Zimmer defense. Dan Quinn wanted to just force takeaways and force turnovers and splash plays on defense, havoc plays on defense, and he wanted to get pressure on the opposing QB. Those were the two things that he wanted to do: get pressure and force takeaways, and he did it, right? They were a top 5 pressure unit in the NFL and top 5 in sacks and pressures while he was there at the Cowboys or with the Cowboys, and they were also they led the NFL actually in takeaways in back-to-back years, because in the way he would achieve this was by creating chaos and confusion at every level of the defense and different pockets, and isolated, specialized pockets of chaos. So lots of bump and run with the corners on the outside to throw out the timing and the precision of the passing game. More twists and stunts and games up front in the front 7 on the D-line than anybody else in the NFL to confuse blocking schemes. More pre-snap rotation with not 2 safeties, but 3 safeties to confuse the pre-snap read of the quarterback, so pre-snap would never match post-snap. He also loved hybrid defenders, so he can move different pieces around the chessboard, further confusing the quarterback about where certain positions, the Mike linebacker, where the field safety, where they were supposed to be on any given down. So that confusion would create chaos, and chaos will always benefit the defense because offenses are built on precision, accuracy, timing. Defense don't need any of that. We just need chaos, and chaos will help the defense. So he was almost a riverboat gambler in that he would create chaos at every level, all these specialized, isolated pockets of chaos, and he would let the chips fall where they may, but he knew that offense is so built on execution and timing and precision and accuracy that chaos ultimately will benefit the defense. And I cause enough of it, and I'll get turnovers as a result. I'll get pressure as a result of creating confusion and chaos, and he did. He did it really well. But with Zimmer, you're going to get a more assignment sound, structurally sound defense, less gambling. All right. Fewer moving parts. Remember, Dan Quinn also liked speed on the field. So he'd throw a lot of sub packages out there, nickel packages, dime packages, to the point where he'd play against a running team like whether it be the Bills when they were running, or the Miami Dolphins, or even the Green Bay Packers, and they'd be running 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, heavy sets, and Dan Quinn will be matching up with them with sub packages, with nickel and dime packages. He played 3 safeties more than anybody else. So there are just certain parts of his defense that expose the lack of structural integrity of Dan Quinn's defense. It was still a good defense, but it had different objectives. It wanted to create takeaways and pressure. It wasn't trying to be structurally sound. That's why it would oftentimes give up chunk yardage plays in the run game, and it at times would give up explosive plays because you're gambling, and sometimes when you gamble, you're going to lose. Less gambling with Mike Zimmer, so I think you'll be less susceptible to explosive plays. It's more structurally sound, assignment sound, so you'll be better up against the run because you'll have fewer twists and stunts. You'll be moving as many pieces around. You won't be playing as many sub packages, so you'll be more stout against the run too, but you won't create as many havoc plays, and you won't create the same amount of pressure. Of course, you'll get good pressure because you got Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. You got two of the better pressure defenders on the edges in the NFL. You're going to play really good coverage, and of course, you're going to get your hands on some footballs because you got two of the best corners and maybe the best cornerback combo in all of the NFL, and Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland, two all pros. But you won't cause the type of havoc and create the takeaways that you did under Dan Quinn, and you won't cause as much pressure as you did under Dan Quinn. So just different systems. And I think Dan Quinn wants you to become an expert in your little isolated, specialized pocket of chaos, and Zimmer wants you to know about the entire kind of broad spectrum of the defense and know what the roles and responsibilities of others, so that if you notice something amiss, all right, then you can be a problem solver on your own as a player, rather than, hey, I got this. This is my role. This is my responsibility. And that's the one thing that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it well. But you can also now be an outside the box thinker and solve problems at different levels. And I think that's what Zimmer's defense allows you to do. And he's giving him that. He's empowering him that with that real role and responsibility. And I think for Fedora Overshawn, he's enjoying now with that type of role and being empowered to that extent that, hey, you need to know what everybody's doing, and you have the ability to check and hold others accountable within this defense too, especially a linebacker. Okay, speaking of Cowboys, I will say this, and I threw this out there earlier too. I don't know who's going to be the lead back for the Cowboys. All the reports are hinting that it's going to be Zeke who's the lead back of this running back by committee. I will say this. All of the stats, EPA per rush, yards per carry, yards at the contact per attempt, elusive rating, breakaway percentage, yards per reception, yards after catch per reception, yards per route run, Rico Dowdle has better numbers than Zeke in all of those categories. Zeke is maybe a better blocker, but he's not a great blocker. So it's interesting. I don't know when the Cowboys are going to do it, but the stats and analytics say that Rico Dowdle should be the lead back of this committee, not Zeke, but based on name recognition, a lot of people are probably going to give more love to Zeke in that way. But stats would tell you, and the eye test would tell you, Zeke is not the best back in that backfield. It may should be Rico Dowdle. So throwing it out there. Keep that in mind. All right, Texans. I want to get some Texans news here really quickly. Do we have this sound from Nick Caserio? It's Nick Caserio, and he was on, I believe he was on with the guys in 610, and he was talking about this time with the Patriots and with the Texans bringing in Stephon Diggs and having out Nico Collins and a healthy Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon. There's some people that believe that this could terraform the offensive philosophy for Bobby Slowick and force him to put his best playmakers on the field, therefore forcing him to play 11 personnel, one back, one tight ends, just to make sure that all your best playmakers on the field. Remember, he's from the Shanahan school, so they like playing heavy sets, 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends, 21 personnel, two backs, one tight ends. But this year, here's Nick Caserio talking about his time with the Patriots, and I think it's hinting that you could see this happen with the Texans this year as well.
We were in the staff room, just kind of on a whiteboard, drawing up routes that we thought were conducive to Randy's skill set. So I think Randy and Wes kind of complemented one another. Dante had a good role. And then we re-signed, or Jabbar Gaffney was still a part of it, and Jabbar had a really good role because he was so versatile. So we kind of reshaped some things offensively that year, and we became a little bit more of an 11 personnel team.
All right, so they don't have Randy Moss and Dante Starworth and Wes Welker, but they got a really good trio of wide receivers, one of the best trios in the NFL. And I wonder if you'll see more 11 personnel just based on Nick Caserio's time. Remember, he's a guy that worked with wide receivers. He was like a wide receiver coach at times with the Patriots. You can see more 11 this year, Patrick, with the Texans, just because those are your best playmakers, man. Why not just put as much potency on the field as possible?
Yeah, I definitely think you could, trying to find as many. It's always trying to find the question they can't answer and then put enough out there that they don't have the people for. And in a league where everyone is going to be somewhat light at defensive backs, Like, it's just, there's not as many defensive backs as there used to be, and there's not many great defensive backs. If they don't have the guys to stop this, and we have special talents at wide receiver, why would you not put 3 out there and put 4 out there at times and put more and more guys out there? Dalton Schultz is a great player, but if you maybe you'll use him, maybe you'll split out another guy, maybe you'll drop a backfield off, especially if depending on what Dameon Pierce is, you may go empty at times as well, because if you figure, if we got bench Joe Mixon, we know it's a passing down, but let's stick out as many guys as we can and see if we can get somebody open. I think you can see a lot of different formations and a lot of different personnel groups just of using your wide receivers, and especially if you get a guy like Mechie or Noah Brown to step up this season a little bit more and put a 4th wide receiver out there that you feel you can trust, that has a little bit of rapport with CJ Stroud. It feels like you have to use that at some points.
I agree. I saw Chase Daniel with a tweet that said CJ Stroud has a chance to be one of the best to ever do it. Comes from he said sources are from multiple people close to the Texans told him that CJ Stroud is going to be more special than they anticipated. I did see this stat that kind of backs that up, though. When you look at most completions for a first down on 3rd and 10 plus yards to gain last season, the leader in that category had 14 completions for a first down on 3rd and 10 plus yards to gain. It was CJ Stroud tied with Jared Goff. A rookie quarterback in the NFL led the NFL on 3rd and 10 plus yards to gain conversions in 2023. Let that sink in. That's crazy. That makes no sense at all. The leaders were CJ Stroud, Jared Goff with 14, Jordan Love, first-year starter, but not a rookie, with 13, Dak Prescott with 13, and then Baker Mayfield with 11. That is tough to do in the NFL when everybody knows you're going to throw it straight, drop back, no deception. You got to make 10 plus yards to gain, and CJ Stroud does it just right, as well as anybody in the league. All right, we come back. We'll wrap it up, put it in the oven. We'll play Who Said That right here on the Rodcast, featuring Patrick Davis on Lifetime Longhorn. Rod Babers coming back on the horn. All right, welcome back to the Rodcast. Time to actually the Rodcast is a One Artist Wednesday. Let me mention that. That's when Patrick plays jams from one particular artist or group. And a whole day is a celebration for that particular artist or group. And today it is the Commodores. And the artist actually that inspired that was Lionel Richie, who was once lead singer for the Commodores, and he's celebrating a birthday later this week. So the Commodores, the focus for One Artist Wednesday, thanks to my man Patrick Davis. All right, time to get to Who Said That. That's when we play a piece of audio from the sports world, sometimes beyond the sports world, and based on the context clues or based on the familiarity, you can recall and hopefully identify who said that.
When you were trying to formulate plans for those three guys, those 3 first-round picks,
yes,
who are you most excited about building a plan for as you guys got started, kind of building the foundation of the offense?
It starts with the run. Bijan Robinson's exciting. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Starts with the run and that up front crew and the toughness that they play with and they displayed last year and how to get off the ball. And then you see the talent in Bijan, and you had evaluated those guys from the last couple of years. Even though we didn't have a first-round pick in LA, you still looked at them.
just out of pure curiosity, I feel like you have to watch a guy like that.
Bijan was coached by Sark, who worked with us in Atlanta, and you know a lot about that. And cheering for Texas was easy to do, and and it starts with the run. Wherever you go, all old school coaches, man, tell you start.
Yeah, spoken like a true defensive football coach. Let's think about the running game, stopping the run first.
It is always that way.
Yeah.
That was Raheem Morris, one of my former coaches, a quality control coach when I was with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and now the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Talking about Bijan. Remember, Bijan finished with 976 rushing yards last year, 4.6 yards per rush, had 58 receptions for 487 yards. And most of you fantasy nerds out there were upset because y'all wanted him to get the ball more. And it wasn't necessarily getting the ball more. It was what he did or lack thereof in the red zone. Arthur Smith. How about this little factoid? Bijan Robinson was tied for 4th among all Falcons in goal line carries and catches. He was behind Jonnu Smith, Cordarrelle Patterson, and Tyler Algier. That's why a lot of you fantasy folks and Longhorn fans were upset. 77% of drives that reached the goal line, 4 yards to go or closer, resulted in a touchdown in 2023. You had 4 teams that converted 90% of those situations. The 31st ranked team had a 60% conversion rate. Like I just told you, the average 77% of those drives on the goal line resulted in a touchdown. The Atlanta Falcons ranked dead as last, 47% conversion rate on goal line situations. One of 2 teams in the past 10 years to be below 50%.
Come on.
Yeah, Bijan could have helped that. He could have.
Hey, so I could tell you Bijan will help that.
Yes, so Sark knows it. Yeah, ironically, Texas red zone offense has plummeted since Bijan left. I think they might have something to do with it. So great point there. Great point. Great stuff, Patrick. As always, I appreciate you, brother. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. We'll be talking about it right here on the Rodcast. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Until next time, peace and hook 'em.